Welcome to Veterans Archives, where we are dedicated to preserving the stories of our nation's heroes. We hope you enjoy this story. Be sure to hit that subscribe button, like and share our videos. Check us out across all social media. Be sure to like and share those pages as well. And for more information, go to www.veteransarchives.org. Today is Thursday, January 22nd, 2026. We're talking with Ben Bolen, who served in the United States Army. So good morning, Ben.
Good morning, Bill.
Thanks for braving the weather to come here.
Yeah.
I know that must have been an adventure.
Yeah, the roads were a little sketchy, but still safer than Iraq.
Yeah, well, I don't know. That's kind of a low or high bar, one of the two. So yeah, let's start out with something simple. When and where were you born?
Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Okay, and what year?
1985.
Okay, 2 years after I graduated high school. Thanks. So did you grow up in Grand Rapids?
For a couple of years, we moved to Saginaw for my dad's job, and then spent most of my childhood in Midland.
Okay, and what'd your dad do for a living?
He was in sales. He was in outside sales. He actually passed when I was 8.
Oh, okay.
He had brain cancer when he was 33 years old. Tumor came in. 6 months later, he was gone. And that experience is what really shaped my life, ended up leading me into the military. When you see loss early on, you start thinking about how fragile our life is. You start thinking about your own legacy. And when you hear a eulogy at a funeral, you wonder, what would people say about me? What's going to be my impact? What's going to be my stamp on this world?
Right. Well, so talk to me a little bit about growing up and I mean, that's pretty early to lose a parent. Was your mom working? What did she do?
Yeah, she had been an X-ray tech, mostly part-time. I had an older sister and a younger sister. So she went from part-time to full-time, and her life changed pretty dramatically as well. You go from a kind of normal middle-class family of 5 to seeing your mom become a single mom, and then losing your dad, and sort of becoming the man of the house at 8 years old. It's changes things.
Yeah, that's rough. And you had an older sister. Mm-hmm. Did you have any other siblings?
And then a younger sister.
Okay, so you're the middle kid.
Yeah, and then my mom ended up getting remarried a couple of years ago. Mm-hmm. A couple of years after my dad had passed, and then they ended up having 3 kids. So I have this neat mixed family, and some people don't have a dad at all.
Right.
And I had the opportunity to have 2 dads, both really good guys, and a whole other family was created through that loss.
Right.
So I think life is very much how you frame it. You can feel sorry for yourself. You can feel like you got a short end of the stick. And then this blessing came into my life. And some people don't have one dad. I got to have 2. And now there were these 3 other kids that part of our family. Now I had these new step family from his side of the family. So I ended up having 3 families growing up. So something tragic turned into something pretty incredible.
Right, right. Was it Dr. Dobson said that life is 1% of what happens to you and 99% about how you react to it, right?
Very much so.
Yeah,
very much so. Yeah.
What a great way to frame that
Mm-hmm.
loss.
Right.
It doesn't make the loss any less significant, but it certainly probably helped cushion it.
It did. And that's the wise realization later through all the years. I mean, initially you're alone. Initially you have this thing taken away from you, and that provider and that sense of security to you is gone. And there is some anger. There is some anger there as you're growing up, and some feeling bad, and then trying to adjust to a stepdad.
Right.
is a unique experience. And
so how did that work for you?
It was a unique dynamic, because he's in his mid-30s and all of a sudden has three kids. You know, married a widow with 3 kids, and he's a good Christian man, and respected our family dynamic. and I think really did his very best in what was a pretty complex situation. And our relationship has grown very much since. My sisters, when he came around, called him John, and I was real quick to call him Dad. So I've called him Dad ever since. I don't compare the two. He's my dad. So
Yeah.
And a good man.
That's pretty good so you're like 10 years old when all this is happening.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And then did they start having children like pretty quickly after they got married, or were these like
within a couple of years? They're both in their mid-30s, so
yeah.
Timing's a bit unique then. And so they had a daughter, and then another daughter, and then a son. The cool thing is, my grandparents on that side of the family, in their basement, they have their entire family heritage, Dutch heritage, going back hundreds and hundreds of years. And if my younger brother hadn't been born, that family heritage would have stopped.
Wow.
So when we think about legacy and what that means, this whole family was created out of that loss, like rising from the ashes, and an entire generation gets to continue. An entire genealogy continues because of that. So no pressure on my little brother, but
he better do things right.
and there's such an age gap. I think there's 17 years between my oldest sister and my youngest brother. So we're kind of halfway between our parents' age.
Right.
So we're siblings, but also we're older. We've done that. So we're their friend, but also
yeah, you're kind of that mentor
in
leader.
Between. Yeah. So it became this really special dynamic. So.
Well, with all that going on, I can imagine it's tough to be a kid anyway. But what was it like, kind of growing up in Midland, and like, did you have like lots of friends? Did you play sports? Like, what was it like being a kid?
My dad, my first dad, it really brought me up in baseball. Mm-hmm. Baseball was a big passion. My stepdad, he was a big basketball guy. He always loved sports. So I played baseball. Ironically, when we first moved into the house after my dad had passed, a neighbor kid walked over and introduced himself. We've been best friends for 30 years since.
Wow.
And I got close with my uncles. I got close with family. Because when you experience loss, you understand the deep value of close personal relationships. Mm-hmm. And for all the material things that we want in this life, there's some things that are really priceless, very, very irreplaceable. And so you appreciate family and the bond and closeness that we've had as a family. There's always family conflict. There's always these unique dynamics that everybody has with
right.
their parents or with their siblings. And at the end of the day, we always find a way to resolve it one way or the other. We don't take family for granted.
Right.
I don't take the friendships for granted. As I got a little bit older, I got into football. Mm-hmm. That was part of being an angsty kid with a little bit of kind of anger and testosterone, and wanted to be able to hit people. And playing football was actually really great prep for the Army, because you're getting yelled at quite a bit. This level of discipline, the standard that you have, being a part of a team, being a role player, realizing that everybody it's an 11-man team on a football field. If one person doesn't do their job, it affects the whole team. And then just the physical training of 2-a-days and the physicality throughout the season. Doing sprints in the August heat, gets you pretty prepped for training.
Yeah.
And being able to push yourself beyond where you think where you think you can go, and how you control your emotions, how you control that aggression. All those things translated really well. As far as mindset, that's one of the big things I want to be able to discuss today is not just what I did, but very much where my mind was throughout these different seasons. Initially, I wasn't a very ambitious kid, wasn't very motivated, didn't have a lot of goals. I had this, who knows when life can end? Life is so unpredictable. I just want to enjoy it along the way. So I played football, but I wasn't hyper competitive. I wasn't a win at all costs. With my academics, I was a good kid, but I wasn't trying to make honor roll or get scholarships or spending tons of hours prepping for the ACT or anything like that. It was I didn't take life too serious.
Yeah, just sort of getting by, right?
A class clown. When you've experienced trauma and grief, I replace that with, humor and sarcasm and sometimes a smart mouth.
Yeah.
Kind of a lighthearted, became a light. I didn't take things real serious. And growing up, there's a lot of cliques. There's kind of the jocks and the band and the drama people, and people are really focused on academics. Midland, it's really academic town. Are you going to Michigan or Michigan State? It's just the way that it was. And I got along with groups of people from everywhere, from every walk of life. I didn't have one single group. And so I'm noticing all these things would translate to the military, because you're everyone from everywhere, and all your differences, you set them aside to focus on the mission, controlling the aggression, the discipline, and how seriously you take things. As we get talking, we'll see how Army really shifted a lot of what my mindset was. You just as you mature and as you grow up and as you see and experience different things. So as I was getting toward like junior, senior year, I'm trying to think, 9/11 was my junior year.
Oh, okay.
So I was a junior in high school, and I remember I was in English class, and they made an announcement, "Hey, something's happened. Everybody come to the library." We watched it on TV. And at the time, I was thinking about a career in sales and marketing, following dad's footsteps.
Yeah.
Maybe something entrepreneurial like my uncles, but it was going to be in business. And when you see people jumping out of the World Trade Center, there was this light switch moment for me. It says, it doesn't matter your career, how much money you have, if our country's at risk or at threat. And when my dad had passed, there was this man of the house thing, the family.
Right.
The sense of security. I'd be the last one up and looking out the windows and locking the doors before I went to bed. You just have that sense of alertness that comes, and so 9/11 sort of directed that to a purpose. So I had my grandpa was in Korea, had broken his back in the Korean War and rehabbed himself, and then I had another grandpa retired as a lieutenant colonel from the Army Reserves, and I had 5 uncles that four uncles that were service between the Army and the Marines, non-combat, but there was a family legacy. There was a history.
Right.
Nobody talked a ton about what their service was. They all had a pride in it. That you could see where their structure came from, but it wasn't a huge thing. It wasn't really visible. But there was this is a path. So as I got into senior year, I wasn't good enough at football to get a scholarship, and I didn't have tons of academic type scholarships. We did some college visits, and there were opportunities for me to go to school. I had visited some technical trade schools, didn't really love that type of thing. And then it was really hard to think about sitting in a class because at the time, CNN had coverage of what was going on
24/7.
It was.
Yeah.
And when you're seeing that, like, how can I live in a box and have normal life when this is going on over there? And I'm a very strong believer in a calling. Not everybody sees it. Not everybody feels this movement inside of them, this thing that's happening. I have to do something about it. I cannot be an onlooker. I have to take action. Take action here. And I didn't know exactly what that was going to look like. So some of the stories I'll share, it's very sort of the butterfly effect. So my stepdad's best friend was getting married in Boston. Now, hey, do we want to go to this wedding in Boston? We had an older dog. And I said, no, I'll stay home with the dog so she doesn't have to be boarded, put in a kennel.
Yeah.
Put in a kennel or anything like that. So I stayed home. They all went. I turned 18. On my 18th birthday, my buddy Craig gives me a call. He's like, hey, so you're 18? What do you want? What do you want to do? You want to go to the casino? Do you want to go to a club?
You're the man now.
Let's go somewhere. And I said, I want to get a pipe. My great grandpa smoked a pipe, and I love the smell of it. I had a lot of family that smoked. I hated the smell of cigarettes.
Yeah.
But a pipe was this very good, strong smell. And so we went to Myers, and we bought just this cheap pipe and this cheap bag of tobacco, and I couldn't get it to light. There's a way you got to pack it. There's a way you got to hold it.
It's a whole thing, right?
It is. So I what in the world? And I had never smoked before.
Right.
I didn't drink. I didn't do drugs. I was a clean kid. And so we go across the street to this tobacco shop. I said, hey, how do you like this pipe? We can't figure it out. And there's this girl there. She's in college. She's like, I don't smoke. I just work here to pay for college. Go talk to the Navy people. They smoke all the time. And so as we're walking down to the Navy recruiting office to ask how to light a pipe, I walk by the Army recruiting office and just there looking at the sign on the wall, and the recruiter just takes his hand, kind of waves me in, and I started talking to him. He said, "Hey, what are you thinking about?" I said, "Oh, we're actually heading down for this." And I said, "Have you thought about the military?" We talked about family legacy and 9/11 and what that looks like. I said, I just don't know if I could make a 4, 5, 6 year commitment. I'm 18. I can't think about 4 or 6 years ahead right now. He said, "Well, do you know we have a 2-year contract? We have a 2-year active duty contract. What do you think about that?" Oh, I didn't know yet. I didn't know he had a 2-year contract. And a couple of weeks later, so my family gets home.
Yeah, so you're doing all this, your family's out of town.
All this.
They have no clue.
And they get home.
Hey, how was your weekend? How was your birthday? I'm joining the Army.
And I bought a pipe.
Blindside. They're blindsided. Like, okay.
Yeah.
A couple weeks later, I go to MEPS, and I chose to be a cavalry scout.
Mm-hmm.
I was an armored reconnaissance specialist, which the recruiting video looked really, really cool.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah.
it looked really hard.
I don't mean to interrupt, but I got to ask a question. So like you totally blindside your family. However, like, are they on board with this? Like, do they think this is a good idea? Do they not think it's a good? I'm just curious. Because we kind of walked past that.
I thought back on these conversations.
Uh-huh.
They weren't against it. They knew I wanted to be independent.
They knew I didn't want to depend on them financially. Like I still had 4 younger siblings
Right.
that needed to go to school that were probably going to be more focused on their academics than I was. So like, just, hey, you have a lot of other responsibilities.
Yeah.
They were going to help pay for school. You know, they believed that education was a good path. I said, no, this can help me pay for school. This can help me with jobs later on. Like, take care of the kids. But when I became a scout, like, what is you doing? Oh, I'm doing forward reconnaissance. I'm the eyes and ears of the battlefield. Ben, we're at war. Of all the jobs that are available, you're doing the job on the very front lines that goes ahead of the unit to do recon. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. If I'm going into this, I'm going to go do everything that I can. I want to do the full thing. And so as a mom, I mean, she's a mother. She's got kids. She's lost a husband.
Yeah.
So I've already lost a loved one, and now you're doing this. So that was tough. My stepdad, he was always read Proverbs, pray for wisdom, but you're a man, like make your own decision and deal with it. And didn't try to wasn't all about it. Didn't try to talk me out of it. They're both, if you want to do this, you know, we'll support you. We won't talk you out of it, but we're also not cheerleading.
Right.
You're going to war right now. And even my Uncle Tim and I are really, really, really close. And I'd asked him after the fact, why do you talk about it? He's like, because Ben, you were actually really excited about it. It was like when I talked to you about it, you felt I found something that I'm really excited and passionate about. This is my thing. He said, why would I talk you out of something that you really wanted to do?
And I'm curious, like, this is probably like the first time you've been that excited about something in a while.
Really it was.
Yeah.
Really it was. Yeah, I didn't have ambitions and aspirations. Kind of took life as it went. And I see these people in the suburbs, middle-aged folks in the suburbs, and they have their suburban job, and they're 9 to 5, and they're kids. Is that all that life?
Yeah.
Is that all that life is this thing? And so that led me into the military. One of the ironic things was I was pretty sharp academically. I got a really good ASVAB score.
Mm-hmm.
There was an opportunity to be an intelligence analyst, but it was like 26 weeks of training. I said, if I'm going to do a desk job, I might as well just go to college.
Right.
And so a cavalry scout was called OSA, this one station unit training, you basic training and your specialty training at one place. And so it's funny because my senior year, I co-opted a bank.
Mm-hmm.
So I was in khakis and a dress shirt in the day. So a lot of people are very surprised.
Right.
Like, you don't fit this profile. You don't fit this type that you're this lighthearted, nice guy. You're a good kid. Like, you don't fit this. And everybody had this. Can still be a really negative stigma of the military. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
As you see that there's this type, and it's just like, no, it's everybody.
Mm-hmm.
It's everybody goes. It's that call. Anybody can hear that call, no matter what walk of life they.
Rich kids, poor kids.
Yeah.
White kids, black kids.
Exactly.
Yeah. Anybody.
Yeah, it's the most dynamic, diverse group of people together, focused on a single mission. It's pretty amazing.
So did you sign up in delayed entry then while you were in high school?
It was delayed entry program. So I signed at 18, so I didn't need a parental waiver or anything.
Right.
And then I was going to ship. That was March. Went through MEPS in April. A little sidetrack on that. I was deathly allergic to bees when I was in middle school. Went into anaphylactic shock, almost died. Had to go through an immunologist for years to build up a capacity for bee stings. And my recruiter's like, hey, do you have anything that And I'm like, no, I don't think so. And I'm sitting there at MEPS. Have you ever had an allergy? And I was like, man, I could be out in the middle of nowhere, get stung by a bee and die. That's not very heroic. That's not,
Right. That's not the way I want to go out.
So I checked yes. And said, the recruiter finds it. You checked yes on the form? What are you doing? Why didn't you talk to me about that?
Right.
This whole bag. And they're like, they're not gonna let you in the army if you have this allergy. It ended up going up to the Surgeon General of the Army for me to get a waiver. And I went to the immunologist back in Midland. They did a check, and I wasn't allergic anymore. And so it actually cleared, and it didn't delay anything. But it was one of those. There's these different things that could have shifted what it was. All these things lined up, and so my ship out date was September 17th, 2003. As a bit of a last hurrah, I took all the money I made from my co-op job, and I took my grandma to the Bahamas for a week. I said, I have a week in heaven before I go to hell.
Right.
And it was everybody else is in school, or they're working their job, and my grandma was available, and so I got to take my grandma.
Yeah.
On this tropical.
So I want to stop you right here, because when you said I took all my money that I made, blah, 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 I'm thinking, oh, and I threw a big party. You took your grandma to the Bahamas.
Yeah, it was.
How cool is that?
It was amazing. I got to snorkel and be on the beach and just have this mental moment of peace, because you have this idea that you can watch war movies. You might have an idea. You talk to different people about what you're getting into. You're working with your recruiter and different stuff. You have this kind of idea of what it looks like. Most of us just picture Full Metal Jacket.
I'm not going to lie. I watched that like the night before I went to boot camp. Okay, so,
that's what we're expecting.
Right,
right. And so it was just this, I'm going to go in completely relaxed. I'm going to have this moment of enjoyment. And I don't know where my life is going to be in the next 2 years.
Right.
It's very much this position of surrender when you raise your hand, both at MEPS and on that final the night before ship out is probably the most terrifying night. If you check in, you stay in that hotel, you really have your last night of freedom. Before serving your time, and then that bus early in the morning. Yeah. It's on now. It's game time. Right. It's like when you're having fun in the locker room and before the game you're getting prepped. It's game time now. It's kickoff. Let's go. It's like most of the lesson from the military. It's about the mental. Mm-hmm. It's about the mental state. It's about your mental strength. So
yeah, your body will do whatever you tell it to do, right?
Yeah,
it's
very much so.
Whether or not your mind is going to overcome that fear. So where did you go to basic?
Fort Knox.
Okay, so you took a bus to Fort Knox?
We flew.
Oh, okay.
We flew from maybe Lansing to Louisville, and it's a bus ride you don't forget. As you get off the bus, you go to that USO station, you wait. Mm-hmm. You wait to be picked up, and you're still in your civilian clothes. We didn't have phones at the time. That's how long ago that was.
Yeah. And
you have this tension. You're looking at the other kids. We all have kind of the same apprehensive look on our face, like we've said our goodbyes. The whole bag, and you're riding that bus, and then that bus pulls up on the base, and it's on. So
wow.
Yeah.
So talk to me about that. Like the bus pulls up. Are you getting there during the day or at night?
It was night.
Of course.
It's always I don't know why it's always at night, right?
Yes,
It's part of the mental. It's part of the mental game is you're just driving in the middle of nowhere, and all of a sudden you pull up, you see the gate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean Fort Knox is a sight. Anyway, actually Fort Knox. Like you drive by the vault.
Right.
That at the time that was a home of armor. That's where they did all the training. And you pull up to these, block brick buildings. Everything's big and cold.
Yeah.
And you get off that bus, and it's that wake up call, that shark attack. Get off the bus. Let's go. And
At any point during like those initial few moments or few days, were you like rethinking your judgment on what you were doing, or were you like all in?
it felt a little bit like just 2-a-days.
Okay.
It felt a little bit like 2-a-days in football. And there's this, I know exactly why I'm here.
Yeah.
I know exactly why I'm here. And the mindset is I'm going to prepare for war. Most of us, we knew exactly what we were getting into. There was no surprise. It wasn't just the promise of free college or something. And it's active duty. So this is our life. This is what I've chosen.
Yeah.
What I've chosen to do with my life. So there's you teach me what I need to know.
Mm-hmm.
It's what training do I need, coach? Kind of mindset is I'm here. It's going to be hard, but it's the good kind of hard.
Yeah.
So I think that was the mindset. And then I think from there it was just this, make it to the next meal. Make it to breakfast. Make it to dinner.
Mm-hmm.
One day at a time. Don't think too far ahead, and you learn how to see the light at the end of the tunnel. All right, training has phases. This is the tough phase, and it gets a little easier, and it gets a little easier, and then this happens, and we can always, no matter how dark the tunnel is, how far, you can always find that glimmer of light. There's always some carrot that's taking you to the next thing, and you always have to find it. So
it's interesting you bring up about the meals, because you're right. Like, no matter what you're going through in basic training, they're going to feed you.
Right.
So you're like, whatever you're doing to me right now at 11:45, I know we're going to get a break and eat some food. Like, it's not about the meal. It's just like, I never looked at it that way.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, because as you go through, you see people starting to have breakdowns.
Yeah.
You see people who've been recycled from training. You see people that have been held back for whatever reason. They couldn't pass the swim. They couldn't get down to weight. They missed something. Because when you go and you're in that holding period, remember it was Echo 515. It's funny how you remember these units from 23 years ago.
I was in 005 was my unit when I went to Navy boot camp in 1984. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, so you remember these it's imprinted on you.
It is.
It's imprinted on you.
It's who you are.
These things are exactly. And so you're there and you see these people that are in various stages of transition. And I mean, being a scout, it was very much like being on a football team.
Mm-hmm.
It was at the time it was all male combat unit.
Right.
Most of these kids were, they're athletes. Tough kids, sharp kids. We have a little thing against it. You have to have a decent ASVAB score to become a scout. They won't just take anybody, kind of thing.
That's the military, right? So for anybody like watching this going, what the hell is he talking about? It's like your ASVAB that kind of determines your career path. So
Absolutely.
if you're going to take that test, I think you should take it seriously.
Right.
But you're right. Just like in regular life, right? You have people who perform this job and you have people who perform this job, and these people may never get to this level, and and so on. So everyone has kind of their place. Now I think you also can do things to better yourself, but yeah, I mean, there's just certain things that some people can do that other people can't do.
Right.
It's a fact.
Yeah.
And it's that way in the military.
Yeah, and it was being there on purpose. The other job was systems intelligence analyst. Hey, you have this great ASVAB score. You can do this really cool job. It's like, no, this is the job. This is the job I chose. So it's, I chose it, and so a lot of people will try to compare the Iraq War to Vietnam. Said, yeah, except for the fact that it's a volunteer force.
Right.
Except for the fact that we're not drafted.
Yeah.
Except for the fact that we knew what we were getting into. Nobody was really surprised, except maybe the old timers who hadn't seen a whole lot yet. But I mean, joining in the early years post 9/11, like the culture in America was something special. People would see on the street, they'd see your Army bumper sticker or whatever it was. But thank you for your service. Hey, go get them.
Yeah.
Hey, yeah, go. There was a sense of unity. Our boys are over there. Our boys are fighting.
Very reminiscent of World War II. I mean, we didn't have victory gardens, right? But
Right.
we supported our troops.
Exactly that. So one of the coolest stories from basic training, it was March, I think it was March 2003. So the invasion of Iraq is happening. Had happened. Man, I'm getting my time messed up. The invasion of Iraq had happened, and then when I was at basic training, they actually caught Saddam Hussein, and they brought us into the TV room to see that. And one of these neat things, I ended up going to the unit that was spearheading the invasion of Iraq. So there's these neat little things that lined up.
Yeah, absolutely. So you get through basic, and now you're in the program where you just stay there basically for your AIT, right? You stay at Fort Knox.
Exactly that.
So did it feel like AIT was kind of an extension of basic training?
Very much so.
Yeah.
Very much so. They have different colored phases. I think red phase is the hardest phase. You have your little earplug. We had a little earplug case.
Oh yeah.
Colored tape on it, so you know. And it was strict. It was strict because we would see other people on the weekends, on off hours. You earned certain freedoms. We were in higher phases, later on phases than some of the other units, not scouts.
Right.
19 kilos. There were tankers, and there were, I think, wheeled vehicle mechanics, maybe a couple other ones that were there. Like, oh, they get to go to the PX and shop at. They get to be on the phones. They get to be playing in the arcade. They're eating Snickers bars. We're a phase past them. We don't get any of that. We don't get any of that stuff. So it was a pretty long basic, and you get that 3-minute phone call. Right. Hey, Mom or Dad, I'm all right. Hey, buddy, I'm all right. Hey, Uncle, I'm all right. Yeah, and mail call. Mail call is amazing. Almost everybody remembers how special mail call is when you get a letter.
Yeah.
You're seeing pictures of family. It's not email. There's no text. We're not snapping and sending pictures. You get that maybe a letter or two a week or something, and you get that picture, and you smell the perfume on it or whatever it is, and you hear about what's going on in family. That's all the communication sometimes that you get, and we cherish.
Yeah.
You cherish that stuff. Somebody's thinking about you, and for a moment, this is what they're doing, and then you have this reminder: they're proud of what I'm doing. I wouldn't have it any other way. I don't want to be anywhere else. I want to be here. So
that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's awesome. So you get through basic, you get through AIT, and you go to your first unit.
Yeah.
So are you still? So is your first unit right there at Fort Knox as well, or you go someplace else?
No. So I got sent to Fort Stewart. It was 3rd ID. It was 2nd Brigade. It was Crazy Horse Troop 37 Cav, Gary Owen, with a bunch of guys from basic. Actually, a bunch of the guys that I had come in with from day one. Maybe 8 of us got sent to the same. I mean, the Army's so big. All the scouts for this, session are training for a dozen of duty stations, and each, squadron and troop everywhere you can go. To actually show up at the same platoon with somebody is very rare.
Yeah.
Very, very, very rare. And like Crazy Horse, the guys that were going to be our NCOs were about 6 months out from the Iraq deployment and spearheading the invasion. So the guys that are training us up for our deployment, they talk the talk, they walk the walk. They've seen what combat's like. They know what deployment's like. They know this training is going to prepare you for what you are going to see. There's no question about it. There's no theory. It's not abstract. It's not hypothetical. This is what it takes to survive as a Bradley crew. And third idea is unique. Bradley is heavy armor, heavy mechanized. So you become a Cav scout and you're thinking light recon, forward reconnaissance, and you show up to a 32-ton armored vehicle. This is not necessarily the idea.
Not what you
The
signed
idea
up for.
the idea that I had in mind. I imagine light recon. This, and being part of heavy armor. But to be a part of that group, and that group has an amazing history. So the 7th Cav, ironically, goes all the way back to Custer.
I was going to ask about that because I remember when we fell under the 2-7, it was like, oh, Custer, I hope this doesn't happen to us.
and then later was Hale Moore.
Yeah.
Like we were soldiers.
Yeah.
7th Cav. Like it was the air Cav at the time. And Gary Owen is what they say, and we were soldiers. So it's this same, in the military, there's always this unit history.
Right.
There's always this.
Well, that's kind of a parallel history too, because when you think of Gary Owen, that's something completely different from like the lineage of General Custer and so on, right? So yeah, it's a very storied group of people.
Yeah, because you think about the cavalry, you think about these guys, mounted horseback, riding into battle on a saber in the charge.
Right.
So it was that. So that history is there. Part of it is you earn spurs. You wear a Stetson. I think it's the coolest thing. The Stetson.
I do like the Stetson.
The Stetson is pretty amazing. You have your sort of John Wayne moment. You can grow up and become a cool cowboy. So yeah, get to that unit, and is a pretty strict unit. These guys didn't mess around. These NCOs didn't mess around. It was the morning inspection, morning PT as a unit. We go hard during PT, rotating through combatives. Time in the motor pool, like your vehicle is your lifeline. You need to know how to care for it. Like shoot, move, and communicate.
Yeah.
Almost everything that we did all the time. And then when you're off hours, like you're building this brotherhood. These are the guys you're going to war with. So you're building relationships by playing pickup basketball or going out together and hanging out in the barracks. And most of the barracks stories are all classified, as anybody who's been in the barracks knows. Like what happens. This is like a wild young combat
like
guy.
Vegas, right?
Right, exactly that. Like what, but it's, I couldn't ask for a better unit to be a part of. Like it was tough. It was hard. Like if your boots weren't polished, you got smoked. Like you're doing push-ups till you feel like you want to die. You're doing lunges until you can't remember your own name. And it was where the Army was. You made a mistake. You got disciplined. You got counseled. They're talking to you about it at the time. And you make it through that discipline. You say, yeah, Roger, Sergeant, and you move on. It was taken care of. And at that time, you're bonding with your NCO. And that says something. There wasn't paperwork. It was, if you don't quit, if you do what you're told, you're going to be all right. Because this idea is, if we tell you to stop, you stop. When we tell you to stop, you don't question it.
Right.
You don't hesitate. If we tell you to turn left, you turn left right then. You execute. Like that. Exact. It's got to have precision.
Yeah.
You have to have this sense of discipline. And we're on unit runs. And we're laughing at other units, and we're making fun of them as we go by. Like you got it was a chest out kind of unit,
right?
And you're a part of something, and we're getting ready. We're going to go lead from the front again, and you're hearing stories. what's unique is you're hearing war stories and you can't tell if it's total BS. Is this heroics and myth and legend? Are these scare tactics to the young Joes to try to get us to take it serious? How did that really happen? Like there was a sort of maybe Google at Yahoo, Bing, whatever at the time then, but you didn't really know. You didn't really know. It wasn't, there's not common knowledge. You can't find tons of stuff. People would still go to the library to look stuff up if you wanted to verify information.
Right.
So you'd hear some of these stories of legend. Some of it was truly legendary stuff that they did over there. And you don't know what to take from it, but you learn really, really quick is these guys are going to get me ready to go, and this is what it's going to take. So
yeah, and bring you back.
Right.
Yeah, I learned two things. Like if a story starts out with "there I was,"
so there I was.
Yeah. Or what's the other one? No shit. like there's just a level of BS in there somewhere. Right. The story's probably got a kernel of truth.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. So you do this train up with these guys, and you're getting ready to go. When did you finally deploy?
We deployed January 2005.
So you are what, 20 at this point, or 19?
I was.
January trying to do the math. Yeah, you're about
20.
Yeah.
Right, I wasn't
almost
19.
20.
Almost 20.
Yeah, 20
almost
March,
20.
Right?
Almost 20. Yeah.
So think about this. You're 19, and this is like a lot of responsibility for a 19-year-old kid.
Right.
Right? But none of you saw yourselves as kids.
Yeah, because you're going up quick.
Yeah.
You're going up quick. Like you're paying my own bills, taking care of my own stuff. The Army's providing a lot, but
yeah,
I wasn't some kid, doing my laundry at mom and dad's house, and mom and dad weren't paying for school, and wasn't living with mom. Like, no,
you're doing it
on my own. I've been on my own. I just dealing with it. You're thrown into the world. There's no handcuffs. You're half a country away from everybody, and so that's like if you do something real bad, like it can completely mess your military career. We'd have kids go to jail, and NCOs would drive over and have to bail them out. Like Fort Stewart's 45 minutes from Savannah, so we tore up that town a lot. That was our biggest bonding, was going out to the beach and going downtown to the clubs and bars and meeting girls and getting rowdy and doing all this stuff. And I probably made like $1,400 a month. I spent it all. It's just on whatever I want all the time. I felt like the richest man, in the world. Look at all this money. Look at all this money that I got. And we were all doing that. I had a car. My parents had bought me a car for college. They're like, okay, you can go to college. You can come back home. So a lot of the guys didn't have a car. So I became the designated driver.
Very popular guy.
Yeah. So you different people trying to get in the car. I was a way out, and you're looking out for your guys.
Yeah.
Making sure they don't get in trouble. Making sure they don't get a DUI. Making sure they don't fight people. This whatever with the girl. Like where'd this guy go? Oh, he ended up with some girl. He'll get a ride back from her. Like, all right, good for him, right? All right, and it was. There's times we'd go out till, almost 4 a.m, hit up a Waffle House and come back and get changed and show up at PT at 6:30 in the morning, and it was just like the way.
Best food on the planet, by the way.
The way it was.
Waffle House is great.
And oh man, driving, because you're up at 5:30 in the morning, cleaning your room, getting ready for a PT. You're on duty all day. Then you go out till 2 or 3 in the morning, and you're driving back on post. There's this road on post, curvy, dark forests.
Yeah.
Back on post, and every guy in my car is sleeping, snoozing at that point, drunk and passed out. I'm there, sober, driving these roads by myself, being awake like 20 plus hours after a full day, after a full week, and just trying to get these guys back, which is, I mean, that bonding, because at the end of the day, that's what you learn in the war. You just want to get my guys back home safe.
Yeah.
Gonna look out for my buddies, make sure they get home safe. And so that, and I would become a driver. I ended up, growing up in Michigan, you learn how to drive on mud and icy roads. Day like today, you learn how to drive in the snow. Some people don't know how to drive in the snow. We trained on Bradleys and Humvees, and there are people that could not park a Humvee. They could not tactically drive. So me and one of my buddies, Caleb, we grew up in Michigan, and we became some of the top drivers, because you know how to handle a spin out. You know how to keep your cool when your vehicle starts getting.
Sometimes you do a spin out on purpose, right?
Exactly. Yeah. There's a cool story about that happened later on. So you become this driver, which is this cool position of trust. You know, for a Joe, you're responsible for the safety of your crew.
Right.
So it's pretty incredible.
So you brought up your parents bought you a car, so like you're in college, you could come home.
Right.
So between the time you left and went to basic training till the time you deployed, did you go home for any period of time?
Yeah. So when I was in basic, we actually got Thanksgiving or Christmas. We had to leave. Mm-hmm. We had to leave, and we got to go home then. So that was pretty cool. I always had decently short hair, but people see like that, and you're pretty fit.
Yeah.
You're looking pretty solid. But one of the coolest things is I actually got baptized. I'd been a Christian, had been saved for a while, but hadn't, because Lord, I don't know what's going to happen the next 2 years of my life, but my life is in your hands. Whatever happens, your will be done in my life. And I got baptized in my home church. That was a cool moment. And you come back and you talk to old girlfriends, seeing if a spark
Right.
is still there. That was always interesting. And talk to some people you're out there moving your life forward in full gear. You see some people that they're screwing around. They're not doing a whole lot of anything. So you get this mix of, but there's this confirmation of I'm here on purpose. I'm proud of what I'm doing. I wouldn't want to be doing anything else. And like I said, we had a close family, and you miss family. You do miss. I mean, we were a family, like the 8 of us at the dinner table together. So it's like we were a close knit family. So missing that. Mm-hmm. I mean, the kids were all 3 of them. I think were all under 10 or 8 years old at the time, whatever it was, and you start missing out on some of that stuff. The kids they don't really know. They don't really understand what's going on. Why is Ben gone? Is he safe? Like they have this idea, and it's because everybody, like we already said, they're seeing stuff on the news, and they're starting to see KIAs and all this stuff.
Yeah,
gets reported. So a lot of people are just very worried for you. Are you going to be safe? What all that different stuff. So that was basic, and then trying to remember how many times, 3 and 4 day weekends, like Georgia to Michigan's 1,000 miles, 12 or 14 hour drive.
Yeah.
Like flights. Like I made all the money in the world, but flights were still expensive. The logistics of getting on a flight, getting there, coming back, leave paperwork is a big deal.
Right.
Coordinating the logistics and flights can be unpredictable. So I drove home a couple times though. Once I'd met, so cool story about how I met my now wife. Mm-hmm. So there's one of my buddies, Caleb, went to Fort Knox together, came to Fort Stewart together, same platoon. I actually shifted platoons at one point. They had to rearrange drivers and rearrange some of the squads for deployment. He actually became my roommate. And to screw with him, I took his phone And I started calling all the girls in his phone. Like, hey, it's Caleb. Hey, what are you doing? You know, and all this stuff. One of these girls is my now wife, Amanda. She said, this isn't Caleb. And we hit it off. Like, Caleb was from Michigan. He was from Flint area. He said, this girl, she's a pastor's kid. You know, she's nice. It's nice family. Caleb was a good Christian guy, right? You didn't see a ton of other guys that had faith, so it's
right.
You're absolute wild man, but I saw this foundation, right, of trying to do what.
Yeah, he's still a young guy.
Yeah. So it's and she and I hit it off. So I drove up there. I think I drove from like Savannah, Georgia, up to mid Michigan in like a 3 or 4 day weekend. Just driving 24 hours in 72 is half nuts.
Yeah.
Right? But like then I had endless.
But you could do
endless energy.
Right.
Endless.
And it's amazing what a young man will do
to meet a girl.
You'd have walked it if you could have.
Exactly that. Exactly that. So, and I think the most significant, we had two. So there was a point when our unit was on alert in late 2004. So when I went home for Thanksgiving, my whole family ended up having this big pre-deployment send away.
Yeah.
So it was almost like having soft orders. There was a date, like, hey, we don't know when we're going, but it's likely before Christmas. So we had this send away, and you're saying your final goodbyes. Came back to base. Okay, it's actually going to be January, so I actually got to go back for Christmas. And this girl and I would actually grown close, really fallen in love through this process. Like all these country love songs. There's all these songs about, you know, soldiers deploying and being gone and coming home and all this.
Right. This is like the heyday of that music too.
Exactly.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely was. So it's just like these. You're this warrior who's also like in this sensitive, guy in love and all this thing. And it's, we have a couple of pictures of me walking to the plane, the last time, because you're saying goodbye, and now we have orders. Here's where we're going. Here's what we're doing, and we're getting mission briefs about what's going on. The news is still happening, and I know what I'm getting into.
Yeah, it's for real.
And so when you say goodbye, you don't know if there's going to be another leave. Like the emotional toll of this is the final goodbye. It's not the final goodbye. This could be the last moment. Like that's part of that mental angst. Like it's amazing. Like this live like you're dying.
Yeah.
Mentality. Like we may not get tomorrow. So let's whatever tonight. Like there's this
whole like 12 country songs going on right now, right? Yeah.
Exactly. Like you're in this moment, and what's beautiful about it, most of my time now I'm planning for the future. I'm thinking about all these other things, and how rare am I absolutely in the moment, absolutely present in just we have today, and I'm just thankful for today. I'm not worried about tomorrow. I can't control tomorrow what happens. We think we can control it, right?
Control is a myth, right?
Right.
Yeah, we don't control
And
anything.
so it's this roller coaster life, and it's a special thing, and I'm probably rare to experience outside of the military of this.
Yeah. It's that thing like in the military where you spend, I feel like anyway, like you spend half of your time living in the moment because you're getting ready to go somewhere.
Right.
And then you spend that time you're away like anticipating coming home. And I don't feel like there's like a whole lot of in between.
Yeah.
Especially when you're like in a relationship. Your life is either preparing to go somewhere or wishing you were back home. But in the middle of all that, you've got to be in the moment wherever you're at. Or people get hurt.
Yeah. Well, we had one guy, one NCO, he gave us this little safety briefing. He said, because you end up, you see stuff. You see people live. You see people die. You see people get hurt. People come home unscathed. And they say, guys, when it's your time, it's your time. If it's your time, you're going to slip and crack your head in the shower.
Right.
If you're going to go over there fighting for something you believe in. So you just get this perspective, like, will my number get called?
Yeah.
If it does, it's going to get called. And ironically, on my final Christmas leave, I totaled my car. I was driving I visited the same buddy who helped me buy the pipe when I turned 18. I
Right.
visited him in Mount Pleasant. He was going to CMU. And then I was going to go see my grandma, the same grandma I took to the Bahamas. So I'm driving an M55, and this truck pulls out. Apparently didn't see me. And I totaled my car. And I get out of the car's smoking, and I have a single scratch on me. There's glass absolutely everywhere. Airbag deployed, front is completely smashed in. There's glass all in the back seat. I had tons of my stuff from the military that I was going to put in storage.
Uh-huh.
All this stuff. Glass absolutely everywhere. And the police officer showed up to the scene. Like, are you sure you're fine? Like, look at your car. There's glass everywhere. Like, this whole thing. Yeah, not a single, which is one of these moments.
Right.
Like, it could have just happened, like, right there. Something could have happened. Even if I'd been injured, it could have delayed deployment or made me non-deployable or anything.
Could have been a life-changing event.
Anything else. Exactly that. So I didn't have to pay to store the car. So that was taken care of.
You know, I just want to stop here for a second. I admire the way you take things and find a positive in it, right? Like, a lot of guys would be like, oh, my car's wrecked, and you're like, oh, I don't have to pay to store it.
Yeah,
I'm going to drive it
we were
anyway.
trying to figure out, does it go to my younger sister, who's
Right.
about 16 or needs a car for if she goes to college, or what do we do with it? Do my parents need a second car? Like,
it's not
they
going
just
anywhere.
take it back to them, and that was handled.
Yeah.
And so you find that. In the military, you get this. And sometimes it's dark humor, sometimes it's deep satire
Yes.
of. It's amazing at the time you have the gift of, this is a life or death situation. This is when I need to take things serious and be locked in. And this is not a life or death situation. Mm-hmm. And you end up having this ability to navigate between which one. Some of the most hardcore guys I ever met are the most lighthearted, goofy, funny guys until the moment it's business time.
Right.
And you see it. You see
It's
the switch.
all business.
Exactly. And it's cool to see. And that's a skill. It's a skill you adapt. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So so you make it back to base one piece.
Yeah.
And then, so when did you finally deploy?
So it was, I think, January 10th, 2005.
Okay.
So, and seeing, because there's married guys, in the unit, guys with kids. It's different. 19-year-old, you have nothing to lose, really. I said my goodbyes. I told my mom, said, you got $400,000. If something happens to me, then go grieve in Hawaii for a year.
Right.
Like, pay off the house, send all the kids through college. Like, that's fine. I know exactly what I'm doing. Like, worst case scenario, you become a little bit more rich, and I, went doing something I'm proud of. The one mental thing that's different, the KIAs everybody had clear conscience with.
Mm-hmm.
His coming back injured was totally different. Coming back changed.
Mm-hmm.
You lose a limb or something else. That was a whole different thing of I either want to come back whole or not at all.
Right.
I don't know how to navigate not being,
Right. Right.
this thing. And that was a whole different thing. But you're seeing, because even some of the hardcore guys, when you see them say goodbye to their families, like you start to see, this is what it's really like. This isn't the Spartan Brigade training. Because we did NTC.
Yeah.
Like I was very fortunate. I got to my unit February 04. We deployed January 5. I had an 11-month train up to get to know my unit. We did NTC, Fort Irwin, California for a month. We did a month at JRTC at Fort Polk, Louisiana. And we had done squadron missions, brigade missions, troop missions. Like we had a very intense tempo. We were locked in, like training over and over and over. Muscle memory, like, hey, we're doing first aid training for the 900,000th time. Hey, we're going to do react to contact drill number 8,000. It just redundancy. So when you're there, it's just redundant. Train. We run this drill. I know how to escape the driver's hatch if there's a fire. I know what to.
Right.
I know what to. I
know how to put a tourniquet on. I know how to start an IV.
Exactly that.
That stuff pays off.
Yeah, and it really would later on. And so there's this, like, you're going and this isn't something on the news. This isn't something we're training for. This isn't a mission brief. Like we're going. So there's this. You think you're ready. You've done every single thing you can, and still that moment.
Yeah.
That moment happens. I mean, we had maybe a couple guys go AWOL on that final Christmas leave.
Right.
Didn't come back for whatever reason. Some people had family stuff going on. Army didn't really care.
You got a mission.
If mom had cancer, if she was pregnant, if something happens, like, you come back. And it was like go to war or go to jail kind of thing at the time. Like it was a big deal. You didn't.
Either way, you're not going to be home.
Yeah, I don't want to go to Leavenworth. So I don't want to go to military prison. So we went, landed in Dublin, Ireland. Home of Guinness.
Yes.
Home of Guinness. And we're at the airport. We have a layover in Dublin, Ireland. And the airport has this massive Guinness bar. And we all start walking right toward the bar. And they're like, nope, you cannot go to the bar. We're on orders, go over here. And no, not to ever point a finger at the guard. There's a bunch of guard guys throwing down Guinnesses in Ireland. Mm-hmm. And it's just like, what? We're going to the same place to do the same job, but they get to drink a Guinness. We're not even going to be there for a while. And so but it says that was the tempo. That was the discipline. It was like this thing, even if it's, kind of fake discipline, whatever. So I didn't get to have a Guinness in Dublin, Ireland. That was a bit of a shame.
Yeah.
And then we got to Kuwait, and just remember the flat desert, the dust storms, one of the clearest night skies I'd ever seen, except for NTC, Fort Irwin, California. They had a pretty gorgeous desert. And you're sitting there acclimatizing your vehicles. We had shipped our vehicles on a boat, and then they had to pick them up from the port. And then you get ammo. You get live ammo. You get live ammo for the first time. And we get to eat Pizza Hut in Kuwait. Kuwait's a little softer.
Pizza Hut, Burger King. I think they had like a Taco Bell.
Exactly that. Exactly. And that stuff. These little, you drive by 100 of them now a day.
Yeah.
Take them for granted. You could have Pizza Hut instead of the Chow Hall or an MRE. If you could have a McDonald's cheeseburger, like those were treasures. Those were special. This might be our last. This could be the last meal kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it's and you're working out watching movies, listening to music,
Because there's nothing else to
read
do.
magazines. It's hurry up and wait.
Yeah.
I can't believe we've gotten this far into the interview without saying hurry up and wait. And it's a real thing.
It
And
really is.
You're there. When exactly are we going? There's got to be a changeover. Some people are going to drive up. We knew we were going to be in Baghdad. Some people are going to have to drive the vehicles up. Some people are going to fly. I ended up being part of the group that was going to fly.
Now, what camp were you at then in Kuwait? Do you remember?
Was it Liberty?
Okay.
Was it maybe Liberty?
Because I was at Beering. I'm just
At
curious.
the time, one thing I can't remember because it was maybe a week and a half.
Yeah, just long enough to kind of get your internal clock
Right.
fixed and
Yeah.
get used to the hot
Well,
weather.
one thing I remember, it was right before we left, right before we got to Kuwait, I stood on a scale in my full battle rattle with my weapon, my gear, and the whole bag. And I was like 150, 160 pounds at the time, and I weighed 225 pounds when I was in kit,
Yeah.
which didn't include if I was carrying a radio or whatever specialized
Right.
equipment.
Thank God you
Like
were
a
the saw gunner.
50% of my weight, carried on your body, which would, have an impact later on. So we end up. I got my first helicopter ride on a Chinook helicopter, and you think about cool jobs in the Army. So these guys, they had these cool helmets on. They're cooler helmets than what we had, I think. And they had this cool night vision, like the really high end stuff. And there's this door gunner because the rear door is open, and this guy's laying in the prone, harnessed to the door of the back of the helicopter with a 50 cal machine gun. And you're flying in. We flew into the green zone into Baghdad, and you only fly at night. And RPGs were still a threat.
Right.
And so every now and then, flares are popping out, and it was like flying in a roller coaster. Is what I remember that experience is like. They're going high, they're going low, they're swinging left and right, and you're sitting there and you're in kit. Because you go from the no ammo Kuwait to we're landing in green zone. We're going into the combat zone. So there's this ride is another one of these, the next steps.
Yeah.
So there's always the next level of training, like going from red phase and basic training. There's always going to be another.
Yeah, you're always transitioning.
There's always something else happening. And we land in Baghdad. I think we did maybe a night in the green zone. And then took another helicopter from, hold on. Oh, I screwed it up. No, we took a plane. We took a plane from Kuwait to the green zone. Remember, because it did a combat landing. It's not like a commercial plane.
It's falling out
it
of
was
the
like
sky.
nosedive.
Yeah.
Nosedive. Straight down, and then this flat. Those pilots got some sack.
Yeah.
They know
what they're doing.
absolutely amazing. And then we took the Chinook from Baghdad to Rustamaya, was the camp that we were at, southeast Baghdad, and you're checking into your new barracks and trying to figure out where the motor pool is in the chow hall and the whole bag.
Rustamaya was awful. Like our sister unit, the 46 MP company, was there when you were there.
Yeah. So we were co-housed. We were co-housed with some of the Iraqi army. Some of our unit got split. It was very unique. Within our troop itself, we had 2 platoons that were going to stay in the green zone. They worked alongside special operations, and they did missions on the border. They had a whole separate mission set. Our unit, we had a headquarters platoon. We had a mortar platoon, maintenance platoon, a tank platoon, and a scout platoon. So they ended up sort of splitting our unit in half. And so we're in Rustamaya. And then some of the guys from our unit were also going to be training the Iraqi army. Like Saddam has been caught at that point. The goal is to transition from a full coalition force to prepare for the elections. That was to try to transition power to the Iraqi government and the Iraqi military. So it's in a bit of transition stability. There was the Mahdi militia. It's very violent militia. A lot of bad things still happening. It's a war-torn country at this point.
Right.
Trying to stabilize, kick out the bad guys, put in a stable government. That's what the mission. That's what the mission set was. And we were first assigned to a neighborhood in Baghdad, running presence patrol missions and listening to the mosques. It was a bit of our intelligence. A lot of communications happened through the mosques. Counterinsurgency, winning the hearts and minds.
Coin operations.
Coin operations.
Yeah, I remember that.
And navigating rules of engagement. Those were some of the really big kind of themes of what's happening at that time.
Yeah. So you get in, you get settled in at Rustamaya, and then you're like running missions then.
Yeah, so we did the left seat, right seat ride. This transition, I can't remember exactly who we transitioned from, and taken over, and we learned to run with a very aggressive tempo. You react to contact, push through contact. Like our guys, if we're driving in the Bradley or the Humvee, our gunner is out of the turret, scanning. Shout, show, shove, shoot was our rules of engagement. The main threat at the time was IEDs and vehicle-borne IEDs.
Yeah.
And you are hearing mission reports. You're hearing intel reports about what's happening across the country and in your AO. And so we ran with an aggressive tempo. Like if there's a car coming up, because you're interacting with a fully moving civilian population.
Yeah, they're going on about their business, right?
Yeah.
And you don't know who's the good guy, who's the bad guy.
So 90% of people, they're kind of indifferent. I would say about 5% really supported what we're doing, and 5%, you had to watch out for. And so our rules of engagement, you don't want to. These 90% of people that are indifferent, you can push the wrong way if you do the wrong thing.
Right.
And those reports were happening on the news. You'd hear people violating stuff and what was happening. Like it was bad. It was bad. If you brought public attention to the unit, it was bad. It was bad news. But that shout, show, shove, shoot was because you're sitting there, you're showing your. We ran like M4 carbines, most of us.
Yeah.
One in the air, one in the concrete, one in the hood, one in the windshield. All happening with about a second and a half or a couple of seconds for a vehicle to close from whatever it is, 100 or 50 meters into your convoy. And as a driver, convoy spacing, knowing where you're going, knowing all those drills, react to contact left, the orientation of your gunners, the communication, all of the shoot, move, communicate. All of these things are starting to become, here's how we get to lunch.
Right.
Here's how we
get to dinner.
Here's how we get to dinner, and you're looking for. And JRTC was really good training, really replicated. Like NTC was conventional warfare.
Right.
Like tank on tank. Had none of that. They did when they invaded, but we didn't at that point. But JRTC was very much counterinsurgency, dealing with the civilian population and rules of engagement.
So we were talking about the training NTC,
And
rules of
NTC and
engagement?
JRTC.
Uh-huh.
So JRTC at Fort Polk. I feel bad for anybody who's ever been stationed at Fort Polk. It was humid at Fort Stewart. Fort Polk was a mess. But you learn the idea of counterinsurgency, dealing with civilian population, dealing with riots, rules of engagement, what you respond to, what's a weapon and what's not.
Right.
But when you get to Iraq, the one thing you don't see at JRTC is the amount of trash that's on the side of the road on these routes and in these neighborhoods. Because Iraq had been a functional country prior to the war. And at this point, it's like a war-torn third world country. There's leftover stuff from the invasion still, and the military presence and the infrastructure of the country,
Right.
power, sewage, trash, services that we take for granted. Really, really pretty devastated over there. So one of the main threats over there is IEDs. And it could be the size of a shoebox. It could be buried in the ground. It could be in a dead dog on the side of the road. That was a lot of dead dogs over there. There's a lot of stray animals over there. And there's just junk, trash. There's broken down, burned up cars. And so what was unique is the way their technology adapted. So initially, set off an IED on the road, it was like a doorbell. Simple wire switch, wire running to it. You're looking for wires. You're looking for less traffic, people avoiding the area. You're looking for some of these different triggers. Eventually, it was like a garage door opener. They could trigger it from maybe 50 meters away. They wouldn't have to be so close.
Right.
You wouldn't see a wire anymore. And then it was a cell phone. It could be a mile away. So you can have contact, and there's nobody. There's nobody there. There's nothing to respond to. So when you're driving, you're worried about VBIDs. You come up to an intersection and you wonder if somebody laterally is actually going to stop.
Right.
So you're looking at that car, and then you look over to see if your gunner is looking at that car. An IED could take out one vehicle. Some of these are buried RPG rounds, buried mortar rounds. They had access to supplies, they had access to munitions. We were digging up caches and finding this stuff that they were using to make these bombs.
A lot of our own stuff.
A lot of our own stuff.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like when the Iraqi army had disbanded, like how they got access to this equipment. And these aren't necessarily Iraqis. These were people coming from Jordan or Pakistan or Syria. Like it was just a hotbed of terrorists coming and trying to do something with it. And so there's this kill zone, there's a sweet spot. So if you're driving and you see something that looks a little sketchy, and now the roads are not these paved roads like potholes in Michigan. Is that a pothole or is that an IED? So there's this moment you drive, moment you hold your breath, your whole test tightens, and then you pass the kill zone. And this is happening multiple times a day. Vehicles coming up, you wonder if they're going to stop. You wonder what the response is going to be. You hear, boom, boom, a couple of our warning shots pop off real quick. And one of the craziest stories, I want to talk about the news real quick, about how fast information traveled.
Yeah.
So I'm walking from my barracks to the chow hall. It's quarter mile across base. And I hear this explosion, and you hear explosions pretty routinely. Like everything is, these are FOB, these forward operating bases. There's always stuff happening. And I heard this boom. It was a big boom. I see smoke coming from kind of downtown Baghdad. I get to the chow hall. I mean, this is 90 seconds on CNN. Car bomb hits the Palestinian hotel in downtown Baghdad, where the media was.
Yeah.
And so I see smoke, and 90 seconds later, it's being reported live on CNN. So you're seeing this stuff happen, how quickly information can pass. But a car bomb will wipe out a convoy. It'll wipe out an entire.
Take out a building with the right car bomb.
Yeah. So most of this building had been hit.
Yeah.
Really, really hard, and all the routes. How routes are labeled is important because there's a story later. So you have green routes is, it's safe to drive on. Fuel tankers, fuel tanker convoys can go on green routes. Yellow routes, like up armored Humvees, no soft shells, like contact possible. Red, like contact likely. Armored only. So that's our tanks and Bradleys. If the route is labeled black, is not safe. Do not drive on this route. So when we're doing route recon, part of my job is to understand where are we going, what's the route. If you turn off the wrong road, you can go from a route that's been secured because it's rotating engineer units, NP units, and us rotating like 24-hour presence patrols.
Yeah.
Rotating through. One of the craziest things, we had the unit next to us throughout the war. I think they lost 36 soldiers, and they rode casual. They weren't very aggressive. They were under the hatch of their vehicles. They didn't have the sense of awareness. So we're going into this neighborhood, and they said, "This is a very dangerous neighborhood. This is an ultra violent neighborhood. They're going to try to do all this stuff to you." And I don't think we lost one person in that neighborhood because we rolled with this aggressive stance. So we were in this neighborhood for maybe the first 5-6 months. One of the wildest missions we had is we did this. One of the winning the hearts and the minds was we handed out frozen turkeys to these folks, and so we're in sort of this plaza park surrounded by all these tall buildings, and you're interacting with kids. A lot of times you're interacting with just normal families, and so you don't know who's good, who's bad, any of this different stuff. And I had a heart for the kids because a lot of these little kids are the age of my little siblings,
right?
And these kids are sometimes shoeless, playing soccer. It's funny because there's hardcore rap music talking about how dangerous this is. And these kids are raised in a war-torn country. Like, these kids have seen IEDs and RPGs and AK-47s. Like,
That's part of life.
They've seen this stuff, and these lighthearted kids like Mista chocolate. They wanted chocolate, and we'd hand out different stuff. So we're doing this mission. We're handing out these frozen chickens, and so we have concertina wire laid out, and you're seeing these families are very thankful to get this stuff. It's funny because the men are standing there all very orderly, and ironically the women are pushing each other out of the way to get to these chickens, and the kids are there. And so you're there, and you're having this little community event is happening, and this stuff is going on at the same time. You're looking for snipers, and you're looking out for car bombs. And one of the hardest stories we heard was that some other unit in the same neighborhood, somebody with a bomb vest detonated a bomb vest to kill a medic and a bunch of kids.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't care about killing kids because they got this American medic. So you're so tuned in the moment, and at the same as you're doing this humanitarian mission, and at the same time you're ready for anything to happen. You see a shadow, you see a glint of something, and you're looking over, you're looking at your buddies, see if they see it. You're calling stuff out, and then it's, hey, we need more chickens over here. This rotation, of happening, and you're seeing these kids acting like little kids while all this stuff is happening. It was a very unique situation.
Did you find that it was you got used to things? You know what I mean? Like when you first get there, as opposed to when you leave, like you get used to certain things.
Well, you normalize these circumstances.
Yeah.
What becomes a normal day in our life, is that military can share stories that most people don't understand. Like, as a normal day in the life, and sometimes you share it like, that's not a normal story. That's not like, because it was, we've talked at the beginning from joining the military and how your mindset changes, to getting ready to leave your family, to basic training, to pre-deployment training, and the acclimating to your unit, and you're learning your job.
Yeah.
And so you're not suddenly there. This is all happening in these.
It's all these
these
subtle changes,
exactly.
right? To you.
Exactly.
They're big changes to someone
somebody.
Right?
Yeah.
You tell a story about something that happened over there to a certain group of people, they're going to look at you like you got a second head on your shoulders.
Right.
Like, that's not normal, but you're absolutely right. Like I think that's why I'm fortunate. My son served in the Army as well. He deployed the year after I got back.
Okay.
And we can talk.
Right.
But it makes for an interesting conversation, like at Thanksgiving, when
third party.
Yeah, when people who have not lived it are like, "What? You did what? Or what happened?" And you're like,
we're just having a casual conversation.
Yeah, it was just another day. So how long were you there then?
I ended up being deployed for 12 months.
Okay.
January 05 to January 06. Where things got a little wild was May 05. We'd been in country. We had our op tempo. We were running missions. We were doing our rotations. If you weren't out on the road running patrols, you were doing maintenance. You were in the motor pool. As a driver, I had to keep a Bradley and a Humvee fully mission capable at all times. Full-time job. You could be out on a mission for 18 or 24 hours. You come back and you go into refit.
Right.
You might get time to get something from the shop get a meal at the chow hall. Like, they have this nice chow hall. We didn't have a ton of meals there. Like, we were out on the road all the time. And I mean, it got up to 130 degrees. The roads, the concrete, Bradley track was not designed for 130 degrees to be driving on concrete. It's designed to be driven on dirt. So changing out track, and it was massively physical job. You breaking track with a sledgehammer and trying to get it to line up. It was physical work. And even when you're on base, mortars and RPGs are still a threat. Like, your weapon is on you. You don't have a magazine in it. You're not live. But even when you're there, in a moment, you have to be ready, because things could happen on base.
Most of them I got hit with a lot of rockets too, didn't they? That was like a magnet.
They did, because we're essentially, in getting toward the outskirts of the city, but just a couple hundred meters away from, like, where the main route was. So somebody fires a rocket and drives away. Somebody pops off a couple mortar rounds and drives away. I don't envy some of the guys that are on gate guard, that are doing some of that job and looking out for this stuff.
I always felt bad for those guys because they looked like they were melting. It was so freaking hot, and it just looked like a miserable job. Miserable.
Well, because we have Army, Navy, Marines, Air Force, Coast Guard, different. I'm a combat guy, a non-combat guy. When you get over there, you're all on the same team. You're all trying to get back to each other. You respect the role that each person has. We'll always jive at each other and who's the best and all this different stuff. And there's always this ego that comes with it. But when you've been there and you've worked alongside people, we needed fuel in our trucks. We needed our trucks to be maintained. We needed people to serve chow. We needed people to get supply to us. We needed somebody who knew how to operate an air conditioner. So we needed every single person it takes an army.
And they had to be good at what they did.
Exactly that. And there's, I mean, something that I've really never seen replicated in civilian life is, we talked about how diverse people from backgrounds that get thrown together. These people you may not hang out with outside the military. You may not have anything in common. But you look to your left and your right, say, I would die for them. They would die for me. If I get hit, they know how to patch me up, throw on a tourniquet, call a 9 and pull security until I get out of here. And speaking of 9, I talked to my mom. How's it over there? What's this like? I said, I roll in a squad with a couple of trucks. These are eight of the most capable guys you'll ever meet in your life. Like, if I get hit, I'm going to be medevaced in a Black Hawk helicopter to a team of like surgeons and nurses that are waiting for me and ready. So if I crash on a ditch in a Michigan road, like, I may not be found.
Right. Best of luck to you.
I totaled that car out on
Right.
out on 55 up there. It just, I felt safer. I had one time where I had fear for my life. So we'll share that one later. But May of 2005 was a turning point. Like I talked about some of the progression of IEDs. So shape charges was the new modern technology.
EFPs.
Yes. And because when we rolled Humvee, we could go about 55 miles an hour. We talked about that kill zone. You're not in that kill zone as long when you're rolling fast. You're very agile. Bradley is about 35 miles an hour. You're in the kill zone longer, but I mean, the armor, 2-inch armor plating, reactive tile, like it was designed to be hit. And we heard about the first shape charge that hit an Abrams tank, burned it up.
Mm-hmm.
Heard about the driver that burned inside that. Said this is the top secret U.S. armor on this Abrams tank. This is the advanced technology. And they improvise it, with C4 and ball bearings, how this works. And then one of our squads was out on a mission, and our Bradley got hit by a shape charge. And he ended up losing below the knee, his left leg. And they brought the Bradley on post. And you could see into the engine block, and it had ripped through the engine block. You're talking like 6 inches of like hardened steel and armor, blowing through it with a roadside bomb. And ironically, I ended up taking his driver's job at the time. I had been the lead scout driver the time, and then this was the platoon leader. So our platoon leader shows up in May. He's a West Point guy. He had done his officer training. And he shows up in May to Iraq, and he's standing there with his hands on his hips. So this is a Bradley. Armor officers, primarily just trained on tanks.
Yeah.
And, oh my goodness. So I became the platoon leader's driver. And he said, well, Bolen, if you keep me alive, I'll buy you a Stetson at the end of the deployment. So I had this mission to keep LT alive. He's like this physics and math major, sharp as a tack. I mean, we had a lot of these rowdy, combat hardened NCOs. We had this super sharp kind of nerdy lieutenant. His pen was his weapon. Logistically, very smart guy. Knew to get us what we needed from command. Let the platoon sergeant lead the platoon. Like really good dynamic. And would always take a moment to process before he corrected me. Like the vehicle commander and the driver have to have a very special relationship as they're navigating, they're trying to get you to go somewhere, and they can see things that you can't when you're in a driver's hatch.
Yeah.
You have pretty limited visibility, especially at night, especially in poor weather. If you're driving with night vision, that they are your seeing things that you may not be able to see. And there's concertina wire all over the road, and there's hex barriers, it's massive concrete walls all over, everywhere, and you're navigating, you're pivoting around all of this stuff all the time. So having that relationship was really important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think this backs up to you may not like in the outside. These may not even be people that you like.
Right.
Like you may not like them. Right. You don't hang out with them, but when you're there, they're family.
Yeah.
And it's a strange thing because some of the guys I know, like some of the guys you would not want to be with in garrison. You knew they were going to be trouble. But when you got into combat, those are the exact guys you wanted next to you.
Exactly that.
Yeah.
Exactly that. And you start to see how people respond in the most, horrific and nightmare situations. The tough guy who becomes a baby.
Right.
The quiet guy who is actually a pretty hardcore fighter. The guy who's everything's good up until they get a call and they start thinking about home.
Right.
Because you're there and you're working and living together 24/7. And then I have a roommate. And when we're rolling as a squad was 2 Bradleys or 2 Humvees. And then sometimes we would split off into different AOs. So it's you, your gunner, your driver, and maybe your dismount. And we were running sometimes, out to 72-hour missions.
Right.
Outside the wire, it's just you. Like, that's it. And rotate eating, rotate sleeping, rotate guard, essentially, because when you're outside the wire, like you're tuned in, and we had different music, and everyone has different stories and all this stuff, and people, and everyone's there processing being away and hearing stories, and it could be me, it wasn't me, it was them. This is what's happening. Here's what's going on at home, and a lot of us is, here's what we did in high school, or different stuff. Here's what's going on at home. What do you want to do when you get out?
Yeah.
Whatever else. Hey, what are you reading in that magazine? And the whole time you're scanning. The whole time you're looking. The whole time you're listening to the radio, and you have this.
A lot of multitasking going
very
on,
much,
actually.
very much so. I mean, after we were in that neighborhood the first 5 or 6 months, we ended up handing off that neighborhood and then going down to an area called Salman Pak. This is where this Mahdi militia was. And there's an Iraqi police station. So we were running missions with the Iraqi police. Like a lot of the missions that we're running, we would do presence patrols, which is just driving and showing we're here.
Right.
We saw a lot of car bombs and IEDs. Like, people weren't doing force on force with us. You probably weren't going to win, force on force against the Americans and with their equipment and their trucks and all their different stuff. And so we started running missions with the Iraqi army, the Iraqi police. So we'd stay with the Iraqi police, and we were doing raids, and we were getting information from informants, essentially. Hey, we've seen this here. We've seen this here. Like that counterinsurgency, like winning hearts and minds, is we needed to build trust within the community. Try to find out, hey, this person's an outsider, and the community knew somebody was an outsider. And there's clans and tribes and all this different sects and all these different groups, and you could tell if somebody was outside, not from the community. And we had an interpreter that was communicating with folks, and we had informants were pulling some of them out of the river. Like they found out you're working with the Americans.
Yeah.
Like the Iraqi police did a recruiting thing. They had 100 guys lining up. They had a target on their back. They were considered, if you're working with the Americans, you're part of it. So it's anybody that was supporting us. But we do raids, and we were finding caches. We did a mission rounding up like every military age male in an area and detaining them, asking them questions, and then running a humanitarian field medical. And some of these people had no access to medical care at all. And it's these relationships and what's happening there. So we would rotate a week at Rustamiyah to rest and refit and run squadron missions wherever in Baghdad. We'd rotate for a week at the Iraqi police station. And then we took over this area called Pontoon Bridge. We took over a house. Mm-hmm. There's an area on the river. There was a crossing, and people were coming from the south and getting access to Baghdad. So we're trying to take out this militia. We're trying to stabilize the area, and we're trying to secure this river. So like you're out there for a week, running off MREs and Mountain Dews and whatever else we could, cook out there, bring out there. A week without a shower.
Yeah.
A week of going to the bathroom in a porta-john. And when it's hot, like it talked at like a blow dryer in a sauna.
Yeah.
It's hot. It's humid. You are soaked to the bone the second you step outside. Like you can run an air conditioner and it'll feel like it's 90 or 100 instead of 130.
Right.
Like when that sun bakes and down by the river, it's humid. It's humid. Kind of feels like tropical jungle. This isn't out in the desert, not like dust storms or anything else, but it's, and part of it was beautiful country. Like I've seen Saddam's palaces and some of the hotels and resort areas. And it said, man, outside of this war, this would be a wonderful place to visit. The culture, Babylon is there. Like the Tigris and Euphrates, like the Garden of Eden, the history of this country. As Americans, like to be in a place like the cradle of civilization, it was pretty amazing. And you hear about the history from the interpreters and other people you're working with, and they were trying to protect the sovereignty of their nation as well and protect their history and their culture. And some of that had been lost and transition from a decades-long dictatorship to transitioning to a free government. And so you're a part of something that's
right.
Feels pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah. And to be there where a lot of things you read in your history books actually happened.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
The things you read in the Bible
happened.
It actually happened.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
You're walking those paths.
Yeah.
So it's like a dichotomy, right? You're there, you're a military presence, you're fighting a war, but you're also trying to respect the culture. You're trying to take care of the people who aren't trying to kill you.
Right.
But you don't know who they are or who they aren't.
Yes.
It's hard.
Yeah.
I mean, to put it in simplest terms, that it's hard.
Yeah, because there was times we'd drive by and people would wave flags and cheer us on.
Yeah.
And then every now and then you could tell a look. You would see there's this darkness, this look in their eyes. And I remember there's this little girl kind of jumping and waving, and this older guy came up and he put his hand on her shoulder. And she stopped.
Mm-hmm.
And he just gave us this look. And every now and then you'd see that. So like there's not a lot of things that eventually you say, oh, this is a threat and this isn't. Every now and then you see there are some people who hate us.
Yeah.
And so it could be in the being cheered a second and then get a look the next. And there's people who would throw rocks at us. Like,
right.
There's not a lot of people that would just shoot at us. Like we're driving through country neighborhoods and communities and rural towns, and there wasn't a lot of crazy contact and something like that.
Yeah.
It was.
So you spent your last half of your tour then doing that rotation?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And then, so you're getting ready for redeployment, right? To head back home. Talk to me about what
Yeah.
those like
So,
last few weeks or last few months
yeah.
are like.
So December, no, I got to talk to you about October is the elections.
Right.
October was the election. So we were on a quick reaction force in Baghdad. We actually got to stay at the Iraqi like Olympic training grounds.
Uh-huh.
I got to do my first like Olympic high dive, their Olympic pool. And so we were going to be on a quick reaction force for these democratic elections. This massively historic thing. You're talking about like sliding the vehicle. My vehicle was extremely reliable, but slow. So I had to drive a different vehicle that was fast, completely unreliable. Thing just ate oil.
Yeah.
Ate oil. And like the amount of maintenance, the grease, the lube, the amount of stuff that you have to measure, they're running hot. They're heavy, but this thing was fast, and I was mad that I had to drive this broken down vehicle. It had spitter cans everywhere. I was super clean.
Right.
I took great care of my vehicle. It was a mess. How do you drive this thing? How do you operate in this thing? It was disgusting. So I was mad. So I'm driving this vehicle about as fast as I can, and I turn left, and I did a power slide in a Bradley through this downtown plaza in Baghdad. It was 32 to 64,000 pounds.
Right.
And I'm going thinking as fast as I can, and I like drift. I drift a Bradley, and my LT is like, all right, you get that out of your system now? You good now? All right. It's just like,
Are you done being mad?
You got it, because we could have an honest conversation.
Right.
Sir, this is crap. This thing's a piece of junk. It's not maintained. I was up to speed. I had 2 vehicles mission ready. Now I got to switch. Like, you're killing me right now. And we had this great relationship. Like, but that was one of the fun things I got to do. And we were worried about bombs. We were worried about IEDs and different things happening at the election sites, at the polling sites.
Oh, right.
And they had a 70% turnout. More turnout than any American election I've ever seen. It was complex.
I remember the pictures of people with the ink on their fingers because when you voted, you had to dip your finger in it.
So to be there then in that moment was amazing. And we cleared out this militia. Kids are back to school. Businesses are open. The gates are off. The kids are in uniforms.
Yeah. Going
to school. Families are out and about. In town, shops are open. You are seeing this war-torn place come back to life in a sense of normalcy.
Yeah.
Start to happen here, and people are having tea outside, and shops are open, and we got to eat some of this Iraqi food, like lamb and rice and this chicken and this bread. It's pretty amazing. And saying, man, at this rate, this war is going to be over in the next couple of years. That's what we've stabilized this place. It went from like bodies in the streets to like a thriving community. And then in early December, one of our tank commanders got killed by an IED. Mm-hmm. So other than the driver that had lost his leg, and some people from our sister units, one guy got hit in the hip, I think by a sniper. But we had gone really without casualty. It's very rare because you're hearing about stuff.
Oh yeah.
Like I said, our sister unit, literally in the barracks next to us, it lost 36 people. And so it was very rare that we lost somebody. And so we had this first real loss. And this NCO, he had a family. His brother was on our unit. His younger brother was in the same unit.
Boy.
It's very rare. And a lot of NCO, like there's NCOs and Joes, and there was this line of how they communicated. Like, you're a Joe, we're an NCO. This is not your conversation. We tell you what to do. You don't ask questions. There's this thing, and it's this very mission first. Just do what you're told. I ask questions. I was sometimes a why person. I want to understand it. I want to, these different things. I was a thinking person.
Sometimes it's not appreciated.
Right. And sometimes it was. And I also would stand my ground. They didn't like that. They said, hey, I'm a man. Talk to me like a man. Don't disrespect. So there was some angst there. And I remember this one time, you could tell I was feeling down, because you have moments. You have moments depending on what's going on. And the staff sergeant comes in, hey, how you doing, Bolen? Good, sergeant. No, Bolen, how you actually doing? And told him what was going on, like that kind of guy. Mm-hmm. And like, there's jerks. We had some jerks. Like real jerks. And this was a great guy, and he lost his life. Like, I think we had redeployment orders. It's like early mid-December.
Yeah, you were close.
We were real close. And so these tankers, tough guys, real tough guys, don't show a whole lot. And seeing men bawling, seeing men broken in tears and red face. When we did this, on base memorial, and we're so close. And like, most of us don't cry unless you see another man cry.
Right.
It's the one thing. Oh man, boom. It just, there's a thing. It breaks. Like, that pain.
Yeah.
That pain is hitting deep. And at the same time, there's this, we're not home yet. Reminder.
Yeah.
Moment. Do not ever take your foot off the gas. And not that it did. Not that anything had happened, like an oversight. Just a reminder. It is still on. Every last mission. I don't care if you can count them on a hand. Every second, you need to be tuned in. So we get to Christmas Day. I think we're within a week or two. We didn't have a mission set on Christmas Day. Like, the right seat ride transition starting to happen. The new unit was starting to show up.
Yeah.
Our tempo was slowing pace a little bit. Didn't have a mission on Christmas Day. They were supposed to serve steak and lobster in the chow hall. You're going to have a real meal. You'll be able to call family. Get woken up very early on Christmas Day. Somebody from our unit got killed that overnight. And so they put on a combo blackout. Nobody could call home. Nobody could email, because this guy's family was going to be notified.
Right.
And they had to be notified first. We're 2 weeks out. And Christmas morning, this family's going to find out that their son got killed. And his IED hit a Humvee rollover type situation. Just the most devastating thing. So we're there, and they're like, looks like a mission is gonna come down. So we had this hot list of cars and terrorists that we were always looking out for.
Did you always have that blue Opal? There's always a blue Opal. Look out for a blue Opal.
Right.
Okay. There's 1,000 of them here.
This was a white Range Rover.
Oh.
It was pretty unique. Tons of them in Kuwait, but unique. So we get a mission. We're going to go out and try to find this hot car. There's this revenge moment. Like,
right.
the ROE, the counterinsurgency, the hearts and minds, and every now this is about getting it done.
Payback.
And so we're sitting there. I'm in the Bradley. This is a There I Was story.
Right.
This is one of my favorite There I Was stories. So there I was.
No shit, this really happened.
A Miami cigarette hanging out of my mouth, bag of Doritos in my lap, cold Mountain Dew in my hand. I'm sitting in the driver's hatch, and sure as shit, I see a white Range Rover. And I said, white Range Rover. And I shifted into drive, and I hit the gas before my commander even said anything. And so we're sitting just short of where this checkpoint is. So there's some traffic building up. People are slowing down as they're processing through this checkpoint. It's daytime. And I said, and the white Range Rover keeps coming. And I'm going at it. And I said, I'm going to play chicken with this Range Rover. I said, I'm going to run over this Range Rover. I'm going to pancake this Range Rover right now. And it keeps coming at it. And the Bradley's a massive, loud, heavy, rumbly, threatening looking vehicle. It's got tow missiles up. It's got a 25 millimeter gun. It's got a machine gun. You're not going to win. You're not going to outpower this thing. So he turns into the median to start going the opposite direction. I turn toward him and I hit him in the rear quarter panel, blow off his whole rear quarter panel of this Range, which is satisfying. Right? This is a rich person's car, and I just got to smash it to pieces. So and in the moment, I am level and I am clear, and just you're on mission. And we talked about that redundant training.
Yeah,
you get in contact, something happens, you know exactly what to do. And then after they dismount, Iraqi police had seen what happened. They show up, pull these people out of the car, they inspect the car, see what's going on, go to detain them, and then my hands start shaking
because now
uncontrollably after, just like this. Oh my goodness! Like, and this thing happened, and go to dismount, got to pull security. All this happens, and we're now there's traffic on both sides. It's not an ideal security situation. Other vehicle on the opposite side of they come up, and we go to circle the vehicle, check on the Bradley, and I had managed to rip the track off of the sprocket. Very hard to do. Mm-hmm. I said how heavy it was, and having all this stuff was tight. And so when I had hit them at this angle of the median, you could not have replicated it if I had tried it 1,000 times. Bent up. So literally had to get we tried to break and reset track back onto the sprocket. Like there's these teeth and they have to sit in alignment for it to work. Could not get it to reset. Could not get it to align. They end up recovering us back to base. I mean, we were out there for a minute. It was pretty tense because you feel bad. I did all the right things. Like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
We get back on base and it's toward night now. And I spend that evening not eating steak and lobster, Christmas dinner, but trying to fix the track of my vehicle because we were going to be going back out the next day. And I want to tell you the one time I was scared in Iraq. Had never been scared up to that point. And so one of our final missions before we go back is all of our vehicles now had to get sent back home. So we had to escort all of our vehicles down to southern Iraq so that they could be ported, so that they could all be shipped back home to Georgia. And I was going to be the lead driver of this convoy of all these vehicles going south. And it was a black route, the one that even heavy armor don't drive, and I was going to be in the Humvee, the lead vehicle, going about 15 to 30 miles an hour to be able to pace with this, like HETs are these heavy equipment trailers, semis, contractors drive these semis. The weight of a Bradley's massively heavy.
Right.
So these semis can only go up so fast. So you're driving at night, rotating between like night vision and headlights on a black route. And this was further south than we'd ever gone. I mean, at this point, they said, hey, go to the mosque, go to the school, go to the bridge, go anywhere. And I knew all my routes. I knew the detours, I knew the area, I knew all the stuff to look for. You learn landmarks. I knew it all. So I'm driving a black route on a route I've never seen before at night, and it's far. And we're that close. It's just, my lieutenant was like, combat risk management is a very unique aspect. You cannot mitigate and minimize every single risk.
Right.
But you can choose smart risks. Prep as much as you can to be ready for whatever. And this is nuts. We're taking this route. We need to go now. Here's what's going. Here's where we're at. And so I drove this route. We had about halfway in. We had about very light contact, just AK-47s from a field. Pushed through it. Nothing major. We get to base. It's national championship between USC and Texas. I was not a fan of USC. They had beat Michigan. Previous Rose Bowls. It was it was a rival, and I'd get to watch Vince Young step into the end zone and beat USC. So I'm having like just breakfast at the Chow Hall, and so we rest and refit. We get ready to drive back to our base, and we find out a report comes in that a MP unit was behind us on that same route. That same point where we had contact, those AKs fired at us, the MPs stopped their convoy, dismounted, went into the field, were ambushed, and had a mass casualty, lost like 30 people, almost an entire platoon. Mm-hmm. Got wiped out. So you hear these stories. We were right. We were just right there. That happened to them. And this stuff happened all the time.
Yeah.
We ran out. We had nothing. They go out. Something happens. All this stuff. I ended up driving that southern mission like 2 or 3 times to get all of our equipment down, and then got back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was it like for you stepping off the battlefield onto a plane and knowing that you're headed home? Like, how was that feeling?
It's a good question. That's a good question. How do you define that? Not really the mission accomplished. Like you're just transitioning, you're just handing over.
Right.
Not real.
There's no beginning and no end, right?
Not real closure. Exactly that.
Yeah.
Exactly that. Losing Sergeant Mitchell was tough. Mm-hmm. That loss hit us really, really hard. It was personal. Losing that guy on Christmas was tough. That last month was really really heavy. Puts things in perspective. Because you know why them? Of all the things, because you start looking back on the amount of missions that you ran, the amount of time you're outside the wire, the close calls. I didn't share all the contact stories and all the different stuff that happened. A couple more that would probably be good to share, but that it just, man, that sits with you. That sits with you pretty heavy. And there's this other time you're just like, I went ready to go. I committed then to surrender to God's will. I don't know what's going to happen. Right. And now when I prepared for the worst and I came home alive and unscathed. I was ready to die. I was worried about getting injured or disabled or something happening. And you hear about, you see guys in Kuwait from other units recovering, doing all this different stuff. Like,
yeah,
stories. Oh man, that guy got hit. That guy got hit by a sniper. Oh, this guy was in a fire. This guy got shrapnel in his face. This guy lost a leg. This guy can't walk. All the stuff. Man, they're going back. Mm-hmm. So you have this massive sense of gratitude, and you also have this sense of like, man, world's kind of weird. World's kind of weird. Feels random. Random. Yeah. And you have this. I mean, my faith was important to me. I said, man, God, you must have some purpose. There must be something that you spared me for. You gave me a guardian angel, because there were some close calls. And you see your body is fine, but mentally, they did mental health checks on our unit right toward the end, and they did one of the 4 platoons, and they all failed. So they said, I don't think we need to test anybody.
I think this is a pretty good sample.
You were talking about what our normal was.
Yeah.
We're not great. Yeah, you kind of all are actually like these. And I had that 2-year contract. I'd been stop lost when I was in Iraq.
Right.
Ironically, tried to re-enlist. I tried to re-enlist when I was in Iraq. And the war was going to continue. The surge was now essentially in effect.
Right.
Is whatever happened between 05 and 06, it was going to need more. We had not stabilized things to move toward closure. They were bringing more people, longer rotations, more guard, more reserve, less time to refit, more time downrange. It was a big shift shift in the war, the surge. And yeah, mission ready, right? Let's go. And I said, I'll do 6 years right now if you can put me in Italy, 173rd Task Force, like light recon. They have like 18-hour deployment window to almost anywhere in the world. Like really, really cool. And they're like, no, they're only taking like Rangers and E7s. It's like, all right, I'll do 4 years right now if you can put me in Hawaii. It's freaking Hawaii, Schofield Barracks, light recon, jungle training. I was heavy mechanized. Check that box. I wanted to do jungle training. Like, nope, Hawaii's not taking anybody. I was like, all right, I'm putting mine in my pack and I'm out. Just like that. And then I got back and I had decided to study criminal justice. Like I was just gonna work for the government. Wanted to work for the feds. Serve outside in a different uniform. Just have a gun and a suit. Had a gun and boots.
Right.
You know, and that was a plan.
So you got back to Georgia, and that's where did you outprocess from Georgia then?
I did, and that was a buddy. He'd been deployed the first time. He deployed with us. Guy's like 23. He was going to be 100% deaf basically by the time he was 30.
Yeah.
So he was out processing. He was my roommate at one point. And talk about a guy who's checked out. Is a guy who's basically going on disability. No, he's going to be deaf by 30. But you hear stories about the VA.
Yeah.
You hear stories about the VA. You hear about people getting stuck while they get processed out. Like, the volume of people coming back and rotating out, all the different stuff, and you see these forms. In the military, you get poked and prodded and check the freaking box, soldier. Like, let's go, and like check no to everything type thing. Like, I'm out. I'm done. 90 days. We have 90-day refit. Looking back, there's guys in Guard and Reserve, they don't get that. They get off a plane and they're home. They don't have
2 weeks
reset
combat,
time with their battle buddies. Like that's, bless goodness. Like that 90 days is important. I had a bunch of block leave. You're waiting for vehicles to get back. You got rotations where it's lighter. They're trying to give you some family time back. You're trying to process. You start to notice, hey, there's demons. I'm not at threaten anymore, but sometimes your sleep or trigger moments, different stuff. Your buddies are there. You're all processing it at different paces. I mean, guys, the amount of divorces that happen during deployment, the amount of affairs that happen during deployment, the relationships that crack under pressure. It's a lot of pressure. Of pressure on a family. There's no glory. There's really no, there's no welcome home parade. There's no job well done. There's no huge mission accomplished. There's no we got all these medals, whatever. Like, I did some things. I got a couple ARCOMs, got a combat action badge. It was pretty low key stuff. We had a ball we had gotten our spurs, and my LT got me a Stetson.
Yeah,
that was one of the most.
I want to make sure you got your Stetson.
That was
the question.
One of the most special things in my life was that he, like, to be a Joe and to get something from an officer and getting him through, and he was a leader I deeply admired. Somebody I wanted to emulate. Somebody who did it right.
Yeah.
So I got engaged when I got back.
So you came back to Michigan?
Yeah, I did. I got a few weeks later after we got back. I got some block leave, and I had looked at a road trip across the country. That was one of the things I was going to do. I planned the whole thing: Michigan to Chicago, to Mount Rushmore, up to the north in Oregon, the Northwest. I'd never been to the Pacific Northwest. Down, I had this whole thing planned. 1969 Chevelle 454 was my dream car. They had those in Georgia. I was going to buy my car, and I was going to take that spring and summer, and I was going to live free. That was the plan. And I thought about driving that car and looking over to an empty passenger seat. I said, I want to share my life with somebody. I don't want to live my life alone. If there's one thing I know, it's I don't want to be alone. I got engaged to that same girl that I called.
Amanda, I think is her name.
Yeah, that I had prank called.
Yeah.
Prank called then, and we set a wedding date for June. I got accepted into that college. They had a great veterans program. Really good veterans team over there. Criminal justice program. We had a really good path to what I wanted to do. I had a plan. It's important. We always talk about got to have a plan.
Yeah.
I don't care if you get out, stay in. What are you gonna do? Got to have a plan.
Right.
What are you gonna do? You're not gonna just figure it out. Got to have a plan. We can help you make a plan. The Army can help you make a plan. Like whatever it is. I had a plan, and looking back, I wouldn't have done well alone. Having somebody to share life with, somebody with a good family, a good faith foundation. That was good. Those are big things. Yeah.
And where'd you guys settle on?
Well, I went to college at Ferris, so we were in married housing.
Okay.
It's weird being a married freshman combat vet. You're a freshman around these 18-year-old kids.
Right. Who've seen nothing.
They were like just at prom.
Yeah.
And I'm married, but I'm in college. I'm 21. Yeah. Right. So it was this very unique aspect, and I got a little bit of veterans. They'd have veterans breakfast. Like, nope. There's opportunities to do guard and reserve. Big bonuses. Huge bonuses. Yeah. Search. Those guys weren't just getting free college.
No.
Those guys
they earned it.
Going down range. And I considered it. Said, no, I'm either all in or I'm all out.
Right.
And I didn't go to VA. I didn't go to veteran stuff. I didn't get involved in VFW. Said, no, I'm in college. I'm married. I'm back. And essentially buried it. That was a season of my life. I don't really want to think about it. I was an absolutely different person than I was the 19-year-old kid versus this kid.
Yeah.
This man who's seen war now. It's just this different thing. And then there's just what processing after looks like in this. I don't know what your plan is, God, for my life, but I know you got a plan. And I'm going to try to figure out what that is, or see what that looks like, or try to surrender to it. And I became a goal-oriented, ambitious, sharp, high-performing soldier. Mm-hmm. I was that casual 17-year-old, not taking anything too serious. I was tuned in. I did really, really well. Mm-hmm. The NCOs recognized it. My officers recognized it. I had opportunities in the military. And so I went from this lighthearted, casual guy to very focused.
Yeah.
Very disciplined. I did my studies. I did the right things. I worked really, really, really hard. And I had goals. I was going to make it happen. I was going to go chase life.
So you get to Ferris, you're going through college. Did you graduate Ferris though?
Yeah, graduated Ferris, criminal justice, did a cool ATF at the internship. Ended up getting a job in market crash in the middle of that.
So
07, 08, 2009. Like, our own professors are like, you guys realize there's no jobs. Like, you're going into debt for nothing. It was
Thanks.
yeah, like real estate was bottom out. People were losing their houses.
Yeah.
Michigan was number 1 or number 2 in unemployment, obesity, and crime at the time. It was a great place to live.
Sounds like a recruiting process to bring people to Michigan.
So we moved to Illinois. I got a job doing background investigations for the government. And ironically, a couple of years later, went back in the Army. Second time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like 2010?
14.
Oh, 2014.
I graduated 10, and 2014 I was back in uniform.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was, I'd done the civilian thing. I actually interviewed with the FBI. They actually have like a 93% divorce rate at the time. Secret Service was like 97. Tough careers.
Yeah.
The Feds is not an easy job. It's a tough job. And
so you chose the Army with their low divorce rate? Is that what you did?
exactly. Exactly. So, but when I went in the Army, our marriage was a little stronger then. She knew me then in the Army.
Yeah.
Being an Army wife was something that she wanted. So I, like that lieutenant that I respected so much, said, you know, I've been a soldier and I want to lead.
Right.
Like ISIS was attacking. There was still no closure. The war was not over. Between now and then, my sister went to West Point. She had deployed in the Army. She was an adjutant general officer, I think, was her job. And so she followed in my footsteps and went and did bigger things even, you know, than I did. As I know, I want to lead from the front. I want to be a part of it. Like, there was no closure. Right. Trying to find closure was a real thing. I'd been out long enough that I had to go back through basic training.
Oh, good for you.
So I went in at 18 and again at 29. So I had my contract. You pass a board, you pass an interview, you go back through MEPS. That was hell.
Tell them about your bee allergy again.
Yeah. I mean, I think my recruiter hadn't deployed and I had.
Yeah.
Like, if they recruit an officer, it's a big deal for a recruiter. It's a big deal. It's a big feather in their cap if they could recruit an officer.
Right.
And like, hey, we can do this. We were thinking about having kids, and I would basically have doubled my salary as an officer from what I was making, like what we were both making. I can make that, be a stay-at-home mom, we can have kids. And then 3 months later, surprise, we're pregnant. And it was still 4 months or 5 months before I was supposed to go.
Yeah.
So I could have backed out. We had a job, we had a house, we had bought a home. Financially, we were doing well. Life was going to say, okay, now what? Now do I ship off? When she's in her second semester, we sell our house. Do we do all this? It's not just her now.
Right.
It's her pregnant. And I remember seeing the dads in the military. Like, what all does this look like? And is this something we really want? And we'd committed to it. So went back through basic, had to do the full basic all over again. One of the coolest stories was that basic. I'm there. I had earned combat patch and I'd earned a combat action badge, but they wanted, like, as I was a trainee, so I didn't have any of my stuff.
Right, you can't wear your stuff.
Have any of my stuff. They're all, oh, we're going to give you special treatment. And I don't know if they even knew. We were on these rotating, like, the guard cycles. Their 2 weeks out of the year so we were this rotating training unit. And I'm there. And I see this drill sergeant over there. And I was like, Sergeant Griffin. And this is a guy I deployed with. This is a guy in my platoon. is now a drill sergeant at Fort Benning.
Right.
9 years later, and he rubs up, gives me a handshake, gives me a hug. Bolen, man, you're back. How are you going to become an officer? This is awesome. Man, where's your cap? Guys, you guys know this? This guy's a combat Cav Scout? And in front of all these like basic training.
No.
This guy's recon. He's done all this stuff. And he's like, man, and he takes his cab, puts it on my uniform, takes his combat pad. He's like, man, you're combat, so you've earned this stuff. You know, he quotes the doctrine, like any good drill sergeant does.
Right.
Knows doctrine, you know, boom. And all of a sudden they called me recon the rest of the time because they had heard.
Yeah.
And what? Like, we're terrified of drill sergeants. This one came up to you, hugged you, and gave you his stuff. Like, you've done some stuff.
That's a big deal.
It was a big deal. It's like, hey, recon. And then they would call me old man knees.
Right.
Because when you're 29, you're ancient. You know, it's like, you got oh, man, Bolen, you got some city miles. My knees literally crack when you're going from taking a knee on patrol to, and trying to run with 18-year-old kids. You don't have the same recovery at 29 as you do at 18. And the first time around, had done some damage. I didn't fully know it at the time, but some of my stuff was pretty tore up.
Yeah.
You know, push through it. Ended up commissioning March 2015, if I remember right. Commissioned as a chemical, biological, radiological, nuclear officer. Because at the time, Iran was a nuclear threat. Syria was using chemical weapons. Korea was a nuclear threat.
Right.
So this traditional conventional army, like I was used to gunshot wounds, IEDs, mortar attacks, RPGs. Everybody's trains to how to respond to that. All of a sudden you start suffocating to death, or you start seizing. Your eyes start watering, terrifying. And these groups had the philosophy to use it on civilian population.
Right.
And some of the stuff is science fiction, it's terrifying.
Yeah.
Outside the Geneva Convention, this is not honorable war. This is terrifying stuff. And I ended up getting assigned to a air defense artillery unit. So when I was in Iraq, it was a tactical job. If my entire platoon got wiped out, it probably wouldn't have even made the news. Not a blip on the radar.
Right.
So I'm now a chemical biological officer assigned to an air defense unit. So these have radars and Patriot missiles. They shoot down missiles. That's what they do. And they are a strategic global asset. So I went from this hyper tactical job, being some Joe, some scout at some, place in Iraq, to now I'm an officer assigned to global strategic things. So I got this whole view. And air defense is kind of like the Air Force. They had typically deployed to Qatar and Bahrain, rotate shifts, and wear kind of civilian clothes in the evenings, non-combat unit. Most of them hadn't deployed to a combat threat theater. And the Army was transitioning from combat operations to garrison operations. If I had known that, I might have
You might have not
rethought my career.
Right.
Rethought my career path. And then with how things were escalating in Korea, they said air defense, you're not going to be sitting at some relaxed base watching the skies. We're looking at expeditionary operations of a potential invasion from North Korea to South Korea. And so when you have combat experience and you've run those expeditionary operations, like you're living at some house without a shower or running water for a week at a time and doing all this different stuff. So to be able to to have this view was something special. And when you're a prior enlisted officer, you're managing up to your battalion and brigade commander. And at the same time, you understand how Joe is affected at the end of the day. The soldiers and families understand what's going on. do they understand the importance of what they're doing here? Do they understand the why? I was a why guy.
Yeah.
I wanted to know, what are we actually doing here? Is it just because your NCO told you to grab your stuff? Do you understand? And some of the surge brought in some not super high quality humans into the military that got to hang around because they needed, so some of the quality,
breathing bodies.
some of the quality of soldiers was different. I mean, some of the young kids were like toddlers when 9/11 happened. That wasn't very real to them. So it was a very unique shift. And one of the pivots that happened, because one of my goals then was to special operations, see if I could make it through Ranger School or Green Beret or something along that lines. I had, on a training mission in OCS, I rolled my ankle. And I'd rolled my ankle before. I have high arches. I roll my ankles. And thought it was a sprain. Went to Officer Bullock. Got through training. They said, you might get recycled, or they might kick you out of the Army and not even commission you if you're hurt before you even before you even get to your unit. Like they're probably gonna med board you. They're probably gonna med board you out. So just wait till you get to. I was assigned to Fort Bliss, Texas. Wait till you get to Bliss and talk with the team there. They looked at my foot. They're like, yeah, it looks like you have a 60% tear in your foot. But you can still pass a PT test. You're still deployable. And I said, well, I have a year before we deploy. Why don't we do the surgery, get it right? I said, I can't pass like any kind of special operation schools if you're not at 100%. Like those schools break you anyway.
Right.
I can't go in with this tear. And they said, no, it's too risky. They're like, here's the deal. Like, if you roll your ankle one more time, it could completely tear and we'd have to med board you. I was like, oh. Like, well, what do I do? They're like, it's not going to be that. And so I was at the unit for maybe 6 months at this point. I took my GMAT and I started a master's in finance. Mm-hmm. And then I became the XO for our unit. So I was simultaneously had like 3 staff officer jobs, was the XO for a unit. Battalion, the battery commander had back surgery, so I was acting commander for about 60 or 90 days while doing a full-time 5-week intensive master's in finance program.
Yeah.
My wife had a miscarriage.
Oh.
All that was happening.
Wow.
Happening simultaneously. A lot of life. So I ended up taking a step back. And it's because wasn't the 19-year-old kid alone with nothing to lose. This was,
right.
You're seeing it. Hey, hon, I'm going to be home late for dinner. At one point she said, Ben, stop calling to apologize. Don't tell me you're sorry. This is just normal. Now, this is what happens to families, right? Mm-hmm. We were just garrison. But I tell you, people said, hey, pre-deployment, we were on QRF to go to Korea too, rotating through. They said, pre-deployment is literally worse because your training tempo.
Yeah, you're always gone.
And it was rotating from the field, and then we had commanders audits. All of these garrison level staff programs that they said, who cares? As long as we can get downrange, they cared.
Yeah, all of a
and
sudden
it was some
important.
colonel trying to check a box, some battalion commander trying to check a box of whatever else and trying to manage up and show that they were the most high speed unit with the best digital training program and logistics maintenance program in the whole bag. And so it was literally building programs from scratch, writing SOPs, reading doctrine, and trying to invent the wheel a lot of times, and staffed and all these things. And I was thriving in my career. I could do it all, but it was what I noticed is at the expense of my family.
Right.
At the expense of my family. I'm not Superman. Something is going to fall off. And then there'd be a DOI and we'd get called in on Saturday to have some safety briefing. It's like, I'm willing to give the Army everything. That's why I signed up. When you commission too, it's like, all it, standards, no compromise, lead from the front. You have all these little mottos that just drilled into your, and that I emulated. It became real mottos for my life. Like forward ever, backward never. Like it was just that mindset. Like they're just drilled into you. Like this is how you think, this is how you operate. Now it was I can give everything to the Army, they're always going to ask for more. And I'd see these majors on like division staff trying to get some I'm blanking on the word now, trying to get key development time, hoping that they could get a job where they were going to get driven into the ground so that they could have a chance to get promoted.
Right.
So they needed enlisted bodies and officers. The Army was trimming. There's nothing like having 12, 14, or 16 years in and being told, here's the door.
Right.
So it was, and you don't go to the duty station you want. You go where there's an opportunity to get command or to get development time. And so how do you manage your career and family, and you're moving schools, your PCS, and eventually it was, this is not, thought about legacy ever since my dad had passed, and now it's, this is not the legacy I want for my family. We made the best of it. My wife really did. We loved being a dad. And not a single day, I loved being a soldier and loved being an officer. But just being in the Army was hard. They made it hard. So when I dropped my packet and decided to, I was a first lieutenant promotable, and checking the captain's box was one of the big things I had wanted to do. So there's this, if I stay in, we would have done a year-long deployment, would have come back, done captain's career course, and then gone to the next duty station, try to get command. So I looked at what the next 2 or 3 years was like. So, is that the life we want? We want 3 more moves in the next 18 months. And then is this what we want to do? And this Masters of Finance, and I was getting on LinkedIn, hearing about other officers transitioning out, career and potential in the whole bag, and was fully in. There's a lot of guys who check out. They get retirement orders, and they drop a packet. They stop showing up. They get sloppy. It's the next guy's problem. Now, I was, until the very last day when I signed out, just fully here, and I'll do interviews in the evenings or weekends or whatever I got to do. I'll do personal resume development, whatever.
So
left with my head held high.
What year did you get out?
18.
2018.
Yeah.
All right. So I want to ask you this question then. You talked about like fully engaged till the day you signed out, you left with your head held high, which can be an accomplishment. It's very easy when you're done to like divorce it pretty quickly.
Can you learn how to play the game? You know how to.
Exactly. So I want to ask this. Like, what was it like for you? Because this was your second time in uniform, but now you're signing out. This is the last time you're going to put the uniform on.
Right.
Yeah. How'd that feel?
Not different than getting on that plane and coming back from the first deployment.
Yeah.
Like, there's no mission accomplished. I had gone in to try to do this lead from the front, special operations, push myself to the max, make captain, this idea of what I thought I'd wanted to do with my commissioned career. This, at the same time, I built programs that didn't exist. I had great relationships with my NCOs, great relationship with other officers, the soldiers below me, built a real culture. From managing up, I I had torn my ACL, and as a first lieutenant, wasn't even promotable at the time. They were going to make me the rear D commander as a lieutenant because I knew staff, I knew operations, knew brigade, I knew division, I was briefing. I was our USR guy, which is on staff reporting, our unit readiness across every level. I knew that report inside and out. I knew all these different things. I was headquarters XO and acting commander. I knew everybody. I saw every personnel roster. I knew the whole thing. Like, yeah. He's the most qualified guy to be rear D commander. He knows everything. There's not going to be a blip when we leave.
Right.
And he's responsive. He moves across staff to enlisted to brigade all the time. He manages a million glass balls that none of them can ever drop.
Right.
And I managed to prioritize the ball and know how to be in 5 places at once and set priorities and communicate about what needed to be communicated. And then our brigade commander got a DOI. It's crazy. And the new commander came in and said, no, it has to be a captain. And so I ended up getting sent to another unit. Almost pulled my packet and deployed with them because their XO was amazing. The battalion commander was amazing. There were people in 16 and 18 years saying, best command team I've ever worked with. So it's like who you go, who's on your left and right makes a massive difference. Like if I'm going to go, I want to go with the right people. And I said, man, I might stay. This is amazing. Good culture, good team. Got them ready for deployment. And then the XO got pulled to brigade, the battalion commander made colonel. And so they were rotating out. I was like, all right, no, I'm out.
Time
out.
to pop smoke.
Exactly. Pop smoked. And did some different officer interviews and
So you still in Illinois then?
No, because we had sold that place,
Yeah.
left it behind at the whim of the Army, and we came back. We stayed with my in-laws.
So you came back to Michigan when you got out of the military.
Yeah. So just trying to figure out where to go next. I was interviewing all over the country. I'd done interviews in San Diego and Dallas, big officer, whole like 50 of you in a room, all officers trying to figure out how do I be junior officer trying to become some mid-manager, some whatever at some place. And we say, we're going to go where the opportunity is. We're going to go where the right opportunity is. The one thing I knew said I didn't fully want to take my boots off. I said, I love being a soldier and officer. Not a day, just I know exactly what I'm doing.
Right.
I know what I'm doing. I'm answering my calling. There's something deeply satisfying about doing that. I said, but if I get out, I want to be able to serve, whatever that looks like. So the career was going to be a part of my life. It wasn't going to be my identity, like being an officer was.
Right.
Like when you're in the Army, it is not a job; it is a lifestyle.
Right. It's who you are.
It is the profession. Right.
Yeah.
We talk about the difference. I think if you're a good officer, I think if you're a good leader, the profession and the lifestyle and the career, you treat it differently. How you affect people, how you lead. Are you thinking bigger? Thinking, do I want to leave the unit better, the people better than when I arrived? I don't need credit. I want to improve. Like those attitudes.
Right.
Those attitudes, I think those translate really well. I said, no, I want to be able to make a difference. And so the first time I got out, I wanted nothing to do with VA. The next time I got out, I checked all the boxes, got all my stuff squared away. As I was transitioning out, I heard more about Army benefits and Army programs. So I was telling the guys at my unit, here's all this stuff. Here's these. Do you know they'll pay for this? Do you know that they'll do this for you? You learn more out sometimes when you're a part of these transition groups, these nonprofits. And I got involved with VFW. I got involved with veteran mentorship. Now I'm a part of Rotary, serving in church and all that different stuff. So found a good career. So still serving, but just in a different in a different uniform and
Right.
able to be the husband and dad
Yeah.
that I really want to be.
So how many kids do you have?
Two.
Two.
So that we had that miscarriage.
Right.
Then in the Army, that was 17, I think. They said I got checked after. That was a humbling time. Figure out if you're less than a man.
Right.
You know, maybe. And I was resistant to it. Said, hey, if God wants us to have kids, we'll have kids.
Yeah.
We got checked out. He said, there's nothing wrong with you, but for whatever reason, it was potentially high risk. You have a 5% chance of having kids again. Like, okay. So we weren't really trying. If it happens type thing. Like,
Right.
we can try and it may not happen anyway. And in 2020, Amanda got pregnant, and we held our breath the whole time because of high risk. Right, the miscarriage is very possible up to 24 weeks.
Yeah.
Our first one was about 6 or 8, very, very early on. Processing that as a couple is a unique dynamic. How men process it, how women, how you support that. It's not a one-time event. How I talk about military stuff for her, it was very much the same. I don't truly understand, right?
Yeah. Well,
It's like a civilian hearing about the soldier. Like you can hear it, but you don't. It's not quite the same. And so a healthy baby boy, and his name is Dean. Like our miracle son. 2020 was at home a lot. The world was shut down.
Right.
You know, for the most part, spent a lot of time at home and low stress.
Yeah.
Like stress might have had something to do with it. Just where our life was. Our marriage was strong. And had a son. He's 5. He's 5 now. So it's.
Yeah. When was your second born?
He was, so the first was 2014. She was born when I was at basic training for officer school, and the second was born Ann Arbor area of Michigan.
Okay.
Yeah, 2020, yeah.
All right. And so now you're kind of in that area, you're doing your job, you're giving back through Rotary and other things. So it sounds like everything kind of come full circle for you.
Yeah, very, very much so. Like, there was a time in my life when I'd wanted to bury my military experience. That was a season of my life. Because some people you'll meet, it defines them.
Right.
It defines them very deeply. Some people, it's like it was the highlight of their life. Because when you make it through these trainings, when you get all of this stuff, even if it's not really external recognition, the sense of pride is truly amazing.
Right.
It's truly amazing when you rise above, when you're a survivor, when you're part of the 1% that was willing and went and did the job, the hard job. You don't need a thanks because you can hold your head up high. You know, like you walk with your chest held out. There's some people that's the highlight of their life, or they let that experience define them. For me, I didn't. It was a launch pad. It was a stepping stone, like onto big things. It is a platform. It gave me this structure, this discipline, and this mindset. So how do I apply that? There was a time I was really chasing, why am I not super rich and super successful and life going well? I survived that. Why am I struggling with crap now? Like when the economy was crashed and I couldn't get a job. I'm a combat warrior and a college graduate. What do you mean I can't get a job here? Like, are you kidding me?
Hire me.
Like, it was.
Yeah.
And, some of that, there's maybe some level of endowment, that you'd get at some time. And, it was, you monitor your mental health really, really pretty close.
Yeah.
Afterwards. Because the hardest thing about being a veteran is the list of people I've deployed and trained with who've committed suicide is a long list.
Yeah.
The guys that passed in combat, short list.
Right. Yeah, we weren't ready. We were ready for war. We weren't ready for people to come home from war.
Yeah.
I think is really the big thing. Well, we have covered a ton of stuff in the last 3 hours.
Yeah.
Doesn't even feel like it's been that long.
Yeah.
But I think kind of as we wrap up our conversation today, some of the things you've started to say, I think is a good point to ask this question.
Okay.
And that is, 100 years from now, when you and I are not here, and someone is listening to this story, what do you want them to take away from it?
Man, that really is a great question. The one takeaway I think of first is I think of that kind of casual, comfortable, lighthearted kid who found his calling and went all into it. I don't think you will never regret going all into that thing. Now, I believe everybody has a calling. You find it. I mean, for me, it was pretty obvious with 9/11, and I paid attention to that butterfly effect. Like,
yeah,
this is not happening on accident. This is happening by design. All the signs are there, and I paid attention to them. The way I met my wife through this random basic training roommate who became my roommate, who happened to answer the phone, who happened to be from Michigan. Any one of 6 factors is different, and I never meet the wife. We're almost 20 years of marriage now.
Yeah.
And it's amazing the way I got assigned to this unit or that unit, where I wasn't assigned to the Green Zone unit. I was assigned to the Rustamaya unit. I happened to be on this route at this time, not this route at this time. The whole thing. I believe people have a calling and purpose. I think calling in life, I believe when you answer that calling, it starts to be a part of your purpose. And that thing can define you, or it can be a stepping stone. I look back and I'm very head held high, proud of what I accomplished. I'm 40 now, and I'm looking to the next 40 years, and I want that to be the beginning of the story, not the highlight.
I think that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thanks for spending some time with me this morning and this afternoon, Ben. I really appreciate
for sure,
it.
Bill.
Thank you for watching Veterans Archives. We hope you enjoyed this veteran story. Please be sure to hit that subscribe button, like and share our videos, as well as checking us out on social media. We're on Facebook and TikTok, LinkedIn, X, and Instagram. Be sure to check out those pages, share, and like. And for more information about what we do, go to www.veteransarchives.org.